Okay, so good morning. So now let's discuss with our subject, the introduction to security concept, the CRR 215. So since this is our first lecture or discussions via online, so you need to listen carefully. If you have some questions, so you can use our GC if we have already a GC, but if we don't have, so you need to create our GC so that our communications will be made by a group chat. So now let's go to first with the meta language. So when we say meta language, it is about a many glossaries or terminologies which is commonly used in our subject. Now these terminologies will be possible that will be one of the questions to be asked during our first exams day. So first is what is security? So all of us always think about security. We want to secure our property, okay? So when we say security, it talks about the property, you know? So it is defined as the state or quality of being secured, freedom from fear or dangers, assurance or certainty. So meaning, security is to secure, is to make safe or be protected. Security is some a two-way process to secure our property and to secure our life. So what is hazard? Hazards refers to conditions that may cause damage to property, injury, or loss of life. It is also defined as exposure to the chance of loss or injury. Hazards are caused either by nature or by man himself. Now, ano ba itong mga common na hazard? Like for instance, yung may nakaharang sa daan, hindi natin inalis. E dahil sinabi natin, hindi naman ikaw ang may gawa. And then tapos, biglang may dumaan, nasagin niya yung isang bagay na which is makagawa ng ano ito, yung injury sa isang tao. So meaning, where indirectly inflict injury to others because of our negligence, no? Dahil iniisip natin na hindi kayo naglagay ng bagay na makakasama, hindi mo siya inalis, hinayaan mo na lang, no? So yan, no? Now, industry, pag sinabi natin industry, we're talking about the business sector, okay? So mga business sector ito, lahat yan. So industrial, it is pertaining to industry. So para hindi tayo mawala, ang industry, it talks about the place of work or a business. Pag industrial, so we are talking about industry, yung mga infrastructure. Okay, so another term of the security. Security is the state of quality of being secured, freedom from fear. So parang pare-parehas lang, no? Now let's go to the management. The term means the planning, deciding, or exercising of control and supervision of some functions of the organizations. Now take note, the one responsible to make a plan on a certain company is no other than the management. So what are the managers do? So the managers do, they are the one responsible to make the post-corp. So ano ba ang post-corp? Planning, organizing, directing, and controlling, and budgeting. Now, but remember, plan cannot be materialized without a budget, okay? So, industrial security. The term means security measures is applied to business, industry, or the business providing security and protections to private individuals, business enterprises, or government and non-government industries. Industrial security management. So kanina, pinag-usapan natin industrial security. Ngayon, industrial security management. So pag sinabi natin industrial security management, it can be defined as the skillful handling of the security safety measures of business, enterprises, and industrial establishment. So what are the types of security? So we have a lot of types of security or classes of security, no? So we have physical security. Pag sinabi natin physical security, so it talks about the protections of the equipment, document, facilities, materials, personnels, no, against any form of damage, sabotage, or espionage. So, ang sabotage at saka yung espionage is different. Ang sabotage is yung pananabutahe in order to discourage the daily operational activity of a certain plants or industry. Ang espionage, ito naman yung paniniktik, no? Kanang pangingispiya, kanang nagasekreto kuha og mga possible sa point of entry, point of egress, and as well as yung kung saan nakalagay, kung ano yung mga ginagawa sa loob. Yun yung espionage, no? Pangingispiya sa Tagalog. Now, hotel security, pag sinabi natin hotel security, we're talking about the private security watchmen who are assigned to safeguard, to protect the clients, the guests, as well as the personnel of the said security. So yun ang tinatawag natin na hotel security. So it refers to the protections of assets, guests, personal effects, and other properties and hotels. So bank security, pag sinabi natin, they are also responsible to protect the clients, the customers, the assets, and property of the banks. Okay, so bank security naman tawag sa kanila. So now let's talk first the history of the industrial security. So kailan ba nagsimula, saan ba nauna ang security industry, no? So, tingnan natin. In 1850, Alan Perkenton, a cooper from Scotland in Chicago Police Department. Now remember, Alan Perkenton, he was assigned as a police detective or a police in Scotland as well as in Chicago. So based on his experience, so he opted to establish a first private security detective and investigations in US. And his agency is the one who conduct an investigations against the losses, the missing persons, no? So sumikat yung ni Alan Perkenton. When in fact, Alan Perkenton was also commissioned by the FBI to teach some strategy and techniques on how to conduct tracing, surveillance, so on and so forth. No? So, napakagaling ni Alan Perkenton. In 1889, we have now the Brinks Incorporated. It started the business as private service to protect property and payroll. So, yung kay Brinks naman, ang tinawag naman nila is yung they make a certain private business company to protect the property and payrolls. In 1909, the William G. Burns Incorporated was formed to become the sole investigating agency of the American Banking Association. So, noong 1909, the William G. Burns Incorporated, they created a private detective agency which they are exclusively to conduct an investigations in the American Banking Association. So pag merong issue sa bangko, let we say corruption ba yan or ano, so sila yung kinukuha para mag-imbestiga, no? In the Philippines, leading to final signing by President Ferdinand Ederlin Marcos on June 13, 1969, the Republic Act 5487 was born, no? So remember, on January 30, 1969, British becomes a bandwagon on the creations of the Republic Act 5487, otherwise known as Private Security Agency Law. Now remember, FADCO is not a law. That is an organization or associations of all private investigations and security watchman agency in the country. So ang batas ng security ay yung Republic Act 5487. So it was acted into law on June 13, 1969, and it was signed by the late former President Marcos. Okay. And then the Philippine Constabulary played a great role in supervising all private security agencies, companies, and guard forces. If you remember in our subjects this year, I told you, so we talk about the history of the Philippine National Police. In fact, in 1901, the Philippine Constabulary was born, no, during the time of Governor William Taft. And then even in the time of Marcos, the Philippine Constabulary continued its legacy. And then lahat ng ano doon is, so pati yung security under ng, meron tayong tinatawag na PC Susya. Okay? In August 4, 1969, creating the Philippine Constabulary Security Investigation Agency, Supervisory Office, or the PC SIASO. After 2 months, another memo issued renaming the PC SIASO to PC Susya. On June 29, 1970, it was again renamed a Supervisory Unit for Security and Investigation Agency. So, balik-balik na naman, no? With the creation of the Philippine National Police on January 1, 1991, pursuant to Republic Act 6975, whose PCC became a supervisory office for security investigation agency, or SUSIA. So, and then on January 1, 1995, tinanggal yung PNP SUSIA, ginawang PNP subsidies. But in 2018, binalik uli yung PNP SUSIA, itong nasa itaas, itong SOSIA, no? Agencies and Guard Supervisory Divisions. Pag sinabi natin SAGSDI, it means stands for Security Agency and Guard Supervision Division. Okay, so other types of security. So we have document security. Now, document security, it talks about how to protect and to secure those vital documents in which may affect or give injury to the operations of a certain company. So therefore, those personnel or security officers assigned to safeguard the documents should not allow any persons who are unauthorized to have an access on a particular what we call this prohibited areas, no? Okay, or unauthorized areas. Even those personnel who are working on that company, because although they are authorized to enter into the company, but their access have limitations. And that is, if we are referring to the those area which is not allowed those employee to have an access on that certain places, because that place is the area on where the vital documents or a classified or confidential records are kept, no, in a cabinet. So those who wants to take rather, kung sino man yung gustong kukuha ng record, kailangan nakalagbook, dokumentado yung pagkuha, kailan hiniram, kailan kinuha, kailan binalik, sinong naghiram, sinong nagbalik. So kailangan yan dokumentado. And that is how to protect the document and other classified papers. So personal security. So personal security, it talks about also like BIP security, no? Safeguard personnel like ranking officials from any crimes such as kidnapping, hostage, and etc. So ito naman yung titawag natin na parang close-in security, no? Ang malimit ito, ang tawag naman sa kanila is yung titawag na bullet catcher, kasi pag may close-in bodyguard, yung known persons, so ang unahing titirahin ng ano dyan, ng criminal is yung bodyguard, kasi siya, yun yung magpoprotekta sa kanila eh. Because the bodyguard or the personal security will be the one to give hamper to the plan of the lowest elements. Now, crisis security. This is a part of BIP security involved hostage and kidnappings of VIP. So pare-parehas lang yan sa personal or crisis security, no? Then, we already talked about industrial security, so hindi na natin pag-usapan ito. But again, meron din tayong type of security applied business groups engaged in industries. It is a form of physical security in use of protective barriers, security, etc. So, on the second exam, we will talk about the types of physical barriers or protective barriers. So, operational security, types of security that need to process to protect formula and patents. So, yung formula at saka yung patent, iba yun. Kasi may ginawa kang isang produkto. And then, ayaw mo may kumupya ng iyong ginawang produkto. So, ipapatent mo yan. Kasi pag hindi nakapatent yan, so anybody can use your products and make your products because there is no protections on your part. So, para maprotektahan yung negosyo mo, kailangan ipapatent mo. No? Kasi magiging trademark mo yun. Now, communication security talks about the application of various measures or an authorized person giving information to the communication system. So, kung sino lang yung dapat may access doon sa Como area, siya lang yung pwedeng papasok. No? So, like for instance, sa CCTV, sino lang yung pwedeng papasok doon? Or yung sa sinasabi natin na mga document files. Okay, so yun, no? Pare-parehas lang ito sa doon sa document security. So, communications is divided into the following. We have transmission security. So, like for instance, ano yung mga itatransmit sa ibang branches, no? Kailangan kung confidential lang, dapat ang nakakaalam dyan is yung manager lang at saka yung transmission security officer or in charge, no? A component of communication security source from all missions designed to protect transmissions from the interception, traffic analysis, and imitative decisions. So ano naman ito? Yung tinatawag natin na baka ma-intercept yung communications. Baka merong nag-tap sa ano natin, sa communication system. Or merong anong tawag dito, yung bang pag sinabi yung traffic analysis, iba naman yung kunyari yung communication matagal nakaabot, kumbaga ba loading, no? So yan. Or someone will duplicate, no, the informations that may resort into the hamper of the operations of the agency. So cryptographic security. So this is a thing that is to crypto or to decipher all those communications. Yung pumapasok at saka yung lalabas. Baka meron yan sa tinatawag natin na hidden communications in which these communications or information that cannot be visible to the naked eye, that is subject for technology in order to decipher or to cryptorize the wordings used by the persons who authored the said communications. Now let's go to with the law. Now, the Republic of the RA 547. Remember, the RA 547, it was signed into law way back in June 13, 1969, no? Something like that, no? Now, what are the scope? The scope of the organization, operation, business, and activities of private trust fund, security for detective agencies, security training institutions, as well as private security and training persons shall be governed by these rules, regulations, and implementing the Republic Act 5487. So meaning, no one shall practice a security professions without having first complying the requirements like license to operate, private personal security professions ID. So yan. Okay. So, and then another is the numbers of security personnel to be hired under a certain agencies, no? And no one also to practice as a security consultant without having first complying the requirements on what below stated. Okay. So under the section 2 of the RA 547, license is necessary. Now remember, license is not a matter of a rights. To possess a license is a matter of a privilege. So, ang pagkuha ng lisensya, pag-secure ng lisensya ay hindi karapatan, kung hindi isang pribilehiyo lang. Okay? So, yan, no? Bakit kailangan ng lisensya? Kasi lahat ng business industry kailangan may lisensya. May business permit, may business license. Kung walang business license, so bogus yun, illegal silang nag-ooperate. And which is tantamount to the violations of the RA 5487. Under the paragraph A of the section 2, no person shall engage in the business of or act as a private detective agency or engage in the occupations, calling, or employment, no, of security personnel or in the business of private security or training agency without first having obtained the permit from the Director General of the Philippine National Police, which permits as approved as a prerequisite in obtaining a license certificate. So, who is the authorized to issue a license or license of certificate? So, the one who will issue that, this is the sole authority given to the PNP Director General. So siya lang yung mag-issue ng license sa lahat ng mga business security, either government, private, or company guard forces. Okay. Under the paragraph B, license is likewise necessary for any persons operating, manager, directing, or conducting a licensed private security detective training agency. So, ibig sabihin, kung gusto mo magtayo ng training security training school, kailangan kumuha ka rin ng license. Kasi pag wala pang license, so you are not allowed to engage on the security training school. Okay? Then if you want to engage on the private security watchman agency, so you need also to take the said necessary license, no? So no one is allowed to operate without having first securing a license. That is under the section 2. Any persons having any participation in the management or operation thereof, except those employed solely for clerical manual shall also secure a license. So ang hindi lang pwede kukuha ng lisensya is yung mga clerical, yung clerical work, yung typist ka, or computer programmer ka ng, or computer encoder ka ng private security agency, so hindi mo kailangan kumuha ng lisensya para sa security kasi hindi man security profession ang work mo. So it is exclusively for a clerical or a manual work. Pero kung operation manager ka, security investigator ka, so kailangan mo kumuha ng lisensya. Okay. So under the section 3, training required. So lahat ng taong gustong mag-practice ng security professions, kailangan mag-undergo siya ng basic security training course. So sino lang ang hindi pwedeng mag-undergo nito? Sino yung mga exempted? So ang exempted nito is yung former member of the PNP, Philippine Army, then ROTC, Advanced ROTC officers. So sila lang yung hindi kailangang mag-training. What they need is to submit all the certificates as a proof that they are a former member of the blah 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 or as an advanced ROTC officer. No? Sila lang. So sa training lang sila exempted. Pero sa renewal, hindi sila, sa refresher course, hindi na sila exempted. Sa basic security training course lang sila exempted. Pero sa refresher course, as a mandatory requirement for the renewal of their license, so kailangan mag-undergo sila ng refresher course. Okay? So walang exempted yan. All applicants for license certificates shall have received the appropriate training from any public or private training institutions which is duly recognized by the government to conduct private security or police training. So under the section 4 of the Rule 1, prohibitions. Ano ba yung pinagbabawal? No license certificate shall be granted to any applicant for license to operate or license to exercise security professions with the following disqualifications. Having previous records of any convictions of any crime, no? Yung may mga record ng nakonbikto sa isang krimen na ginawa. Having previous records of any conviction of any offense involving moral turpitude, no? Kasi nang logos ni siya yung mga kuha, no? Having been dishonorably discharged or separated from employment or service. Then, being a mental incompetent. So, simply, pag war break ka or 99 IB Kwangul fighter kasi hindi ka pwede. So, itong paragraph C, balikan lang natin, ang sinasabi lang ito is dishonorably discharged. Pero kung ang isang pulis or sundalo na discharge pero honorably discharge siya, so, they can practice for a security officer, no? So, pwede sila mag-practice kasi ang sabi lang naman ito is dishonorably discharged. Pero kung honorably discharged ka, pwede. And being a user addicted to the use of prohibited drugs, na isamot na, bawal na siya. Then, being a habitual drunkard, na palahubog, no? Then, a dummy of a foreigner. Kasi, common naman yan dito sa Pilipinas, yung mga financier, ito say foreigner, kasi we have a law, we have an existing laws that no foreigners or alien shall own the business company in the Philippines. So, ang ibig lang sabihin doon, hindi sila pwedeng magmamay-ari. But they will be part of the business industry. Siguro, partner lang sila, no? Pero ang ginagawa kasi ng iba is, gagamit sila ng Pilipino na yun ang magiging presidente, pero, and then they are part of the company as one of the corporators or the board of trustees, pero ang totoo, sila talaga yung may-ari. Kaya lang, ginamit nila yung Pilipino na magiging dami ng kanilang negosyo. Yan, no? That is the meaning of dummy of a foreigner. Yung Pilipino ginamit ng foreigner para pag nagtayo siya ng negosyo kasi hindi man pwede, bawal man yan sa Security Exchange Commission, lalo-lalo na sa ating batas na ang mga dayuhan ay mamamag-ari ng property o negosyo sa Pilipinas. But they will be allowed to be part as a business partner or corporators of a certain company. No? Okay, now let's go to the Rule 2, the penal provisions. Ito na, usapan natin yung mga penalty. So ano bang mangyayari sa isang tao or sa isang private security agencies na hindi nag-comply ng requirements na sinasaad ng RA 5487. Okay? Under the Section 1 of the Rule 2, without prejudice to the imposition of criminal sanctions, any violations of Republic Act 5487 as amended or its rule or regulations by license grantees. So, sino itong mga grantees? Yung mga binigyan ng mga lisensya, no? Likewise, pursuant thereof shall be punished by suspensions for a fine or a cancellation of its license to operate, conduct, direct, or manage a private detective, watchman or security guard agencies and all its members. So, ibig sabihin, so once a person or a company violate the RA 547, they are liable for criminally liable and administratively liable. Ano yung criminally? Yung mag-fines, mag-suspended. No? Yun ang administration. Yun ang administrative suspensions of their license or cancellations of their license. Doon sa criminal aspect naman, sa violation naman sa section sa Rule 1. No? Okay. Now, penalized pursuant to provisions of herein under or with the forfeiture of its bond, filed with the Philippine National Police at the discretion of the Chief PNP. So, ibig sabihin, kung makita na if the violation is not so severe or serious, So remember that our government are very lenient, no? So they give always a chance to those persons who violated some laws but which is not so serious. Okay? So baka i-suspended lang yan or baka bigyan lang sila ng what we call this, yung magbayad lang sila ng fines, no? Mag-fines lang sila. Yan. So ano naman ang sinabi ng Section 2 ng Rule 2? Any persons under the paragraph A of the Section 2, any person not covered by Section 1 of the Rule 2 above who commits any act in a violation of Republic Act 5487 as amended in its implementing rules and regulations shall on convictions thereof suffer imprisonment from 10 to 15 years. So, biruin mo, pag nagtayo ka na security agency, wala ka palang lisensya, and then you are pretending that you are a licensed. So that is a public deception, no? So pwede kang makulong ng 10 taon hanggang 15 taon at magbabayad ka rin ng penalty of not less than 10,000 pesos nor more than 15,000 pesos as the court may direct. Pero itong tinatawag natin na 10,000 pesos, baka tumaas na ito kasi ang korte naman ang mag-ano niyan eh. Kasi may mga provisions din na binabago, mga memorandum order. No? Under the paragraph B of the Section 2 of the Rule 2, if the violation is committed by those persons mentioned in Section 3, paragraph B under the Rule 4. So we are talking about the kabit system. No? Kasi ang paragraph 3, subparagraph B, under Section 3, paragraph B, under the Rule 4, it talks about the kabit system. No? Sa kabit system naman ito ng security industry. Pag sinabi natin kabit system, yung tao, nagpagamit siya ng kanyang lisensya sa ibang tao using the name of his agency but knowingly hindi naman siya lisensyado. So ang usapan lang niya, magbigay siya ng cuts or ng porsyento. So yun ang sinasabi natin na kabit system. Okay. The penalty shall be imprisonment ranging from 1 to 4 years and a fine ranging from 1 to 4,000 pesos as the discretions of the court. So under the Section 3, expired license. Pag sinabi natin expired license, ibig sabihin wala ka na talagang lisensya. No? Kasi ang akala ng iba, pag expired license, pwede pa siya mag-operate kasi total expired na naman. No. Pag sinabi natin expired, that is considered as no license. So you are not allowed to operate. Kagaya din yan sa isang lisensya ng driver. No? Expired ang kanyang lisensya, nag-drive siya. So nahuli. So ang lisensya sa kanya is driving of a motor vehicle with expired license. So magmumulta siya dyan. So may multa ang tawag. No? Dito naman, magmumulta na, baka masuspende pa, no? For the purposes of in-person sanctions of any private security watchman or company guard, force, agency, or private security or training personnel upon expirations of their respective license to operate or license to exercise security professions are considered as not possessing a license. So, klaro mismo yung batas. Pag expire na yung lisensya natin, hindi na tayo pwedeng mag-practice. Kasi nga, wala na tayong lisensya. So, once our license expired, then that is also the expirations of our license to practice. Okay? So, as not obscene license, it shall be held criminally and administratively liable. Ano itong administratively? Pwedeng masuspende ka or ma-revoke ang lisensya mo. Okay? So, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-practice. Now, let's go through the other definitions as prescribed by the Rule 2. So, private security services. So, ano ito siya? Shall include the act of providing or rendering service towards establishment, whether public or private building, compound, area of property, to conduct access control, denial in any form of whether physically, manually, or scientifically by electrically monitoring systems, for the purpose of securing such area property and at the same time ensuring safety and protection of persons within such areas, to maintain peace and order within such areas, to conduct private security training, or to conduct investigation. So yun ang ibig sabihin ng private security services. Private detective services include, among others, the act of providing personal security protections, inquiry informations, gathering, pre-employment verification, yung tawag natin na PBI o partial background investigations, and individual background profiling, providing assistance in civil liability and personal injury cases. Now, ang trabaho ng private detective services, sila yung nagkakandak ng investigations, no? So, doon sa mga losses ng company on where their agency having an existing contract. Okay? Then, pag meron din mag-apply, sila din yung nagkakandak ng partial background investigation sa mga applicants. Okay. So, private security industry shall cover those in the legitimate business for providing private security and detective services. Now, private security guard, sometimes called private security or watchman, shall include any persons who offer or render personal services to watch or secure either a residence, business establishments, or buildings, composed areas of property, inspect material, body checks, searches individuals or baggage, and other forms of security inspections, physically, manually, or electronically, including but not limited to logging concessions. Okay? Okay, so private detective, no, shall mean any person who does detective work for her reward or commission basis, other than members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, guards of the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, municipal or city jail guards. Okay? So, private security personnel shall be natural persons. Pag sinabi natin natural persons, so wala siyang kumpanya. Okay? So, siya lang mag-isa. Which include private security guards, private detectives, security consultants, security officers, and other than that may be classified that are rendering, performing security or detective services as employed by private security agencies and or private firms. Okay? So, government security personnel na. Iba naman itong government security personnel. Ito yung nakikita natin sa City Hall or sa provincial hall, no? So, they are directly under the payment of the government. So, ang nagpapasildo sa kanila yung government. Yung itatawag natin na civil security unit. Okay? So, yan, no? So, sila yung security officer na na-assign sa City Hall. But they are not part of the Philippine National Police or any armed forces services. Okay. Shall be natural persons which include government. So, para hindi lang tayo malito, ano itong natural person? Ibig sabihin, ikaw yun. Ibig sabihin, ikaw yun, pero pag pumasok ka na sa kumpanya, and then, meron kang ginawang kasalanan. So, kung yung nagawan mo ng kasalanan, mag-file ng kaso, ang i-address doon, ikaw at saka yung agency mo. Yung agency mo, yung ang juridical person. Okay? Kasi business establishment. Pag juridical person, business establishment yan. Siya, ha? Pag natural person, ikaw yun. No? Kaya lang, you are employed in the government or either in private security agencies. Detective security consultants, security officers, and others that may be classified latter except for those armed forces of the Philippines, Philippine National Police, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. So, yun sabi natin kanina, no? So, iba yung police, iba yung jail guard, iba yung Bureau of Fire, kasi they are uniform personnel. Ikaw, security guard ka, security officer ka ng government, either ng Central Bank or ng City Hall. Okay? Iba din naman yung company guard. Yung sa company guard, yan yung mga security personnel ng mga private company. So, company guard ang tawag doon. Ibig sabihin, nagpapasweldo sa iyo, you have a direct relationship with the company itself who hire you as a security officer. Okay? So, ano papasweldo sa iyo? Yung kumpanya, hindi yung private security personnel. Okay, next is private security agency. So what is private security agency? Shall mean any person or association, partnership, firm, or private corporations who contract, recruits, trains, furnishes, or posts of any security guard. So yung mga yung private security agency, yung mga nagre-recruit ng mga security personnel, no? Para i-deploy nila. Yung mga nag-employ ng security for the purpose of deployment sa kanilang mga kliyente. So, yan. Sample ito is yung Dacia, Macy's, Minbit. So, yan yung mga private security agency. Now, license to exercise provisions. So, as I've said earlier, no one can practice a private security watchman's provisions or engage on a security business or private detective agency without having first securing a license. Now, so license to exercise profession shall mean any document issued by the Chief Philippine National Police or his duly authorized representative recognizing a person to be qualified to perform his duties as a private security or training personnel. Let to say, kaya ang mga kumpanya, let to say, gagawin kang security security officer. Let to say, ikaw yung SSO. So, you are not allowed also to perform as a SSO or security service officer kung wala ka rin training para sa SSO, no? So, yun. Pag sa consultant naman, kailangan meron kang security service management training at saka yung certified security provisions, no? Kailangan mo yun. Pag ikaw yung may-ari or isa ka sa consultant. Okay. License to operate or LTO, ito yung Land Transportation Office, ha? So, license to operate, ito yung pinag-usapan natin under the Rule 1. Is a license certificate document issued by the Chief Philippine National Police. Again, there is no other authorized person to issue a license to operate except the Chief PNP. So meaning, ang may karapatan lang na mag-issue o magbigay ng lisensya para sa private security agency o sa kahit sinong tao na gusto mag-practice ng security provisions is no other than the Chief of the Philippine National Police or through his authorized representative tulad ng Chief ng PNP, SAGSD. But the one who signed the said license is no other than the Chief PNP. So siya lang ang magpirma doon. So company guard forces, ito yung sinasabi natin, no? Ang company guard forces, it is a private company na yung tao hinahire ng kumpanya para magiging ka ng security. So meaning, this company guard are also qualified to avail the benefits which is usually received by the employee of the said company. Kasi nga, he is directly connected with the company. No? So, direct siya. Yung guardian naman, indirect yun. Kasi may agency yung private security guard, private security watchman's officer. Pero ito, ang kumpanya mismo ang kumuha sa kanya, ginawa sa security. So, kung ano yung tinatanggap ng mga empleyado ng kumpanya, yun din ang tinatanggap niya. Except yung natawag natin na mga allowances. A security force maintained or operated by any private company or corporation tulad ng mga bangko, may mga company guard force man yan sila, yung sinasabi natin na mga pag mayroong mag-apply na aplikante o mag-apply ng loan, sila yung nag-conduct ng BI or PBI doon sa mga kliyente ng kanilang kumpanya. Okay? Secure or guard its business establishment premises, compound, or property. Common ito yung mga malalaking kumpanya like SM, CC, no? Bisano mo, yan. May mga ano yan sa security personnel na sarili nila. So, PADPAW, again, this is not a law. This is an organizations of all private agency and detective. No? So, yung PADPAW, kaya makita natin sa left side ng arm ng uniform ng Guardia PADPAW, and then sa kabila naman is yung PNP, logo naman ng PNP Susya. No? refers to KPAD po stand for the Philippine Association of Detective and Protective Agencies Operators Incorporated, which is an association of all licensed security agencies and company security forces. Now, what is DDO? DDO is very important because if a certain private security personnel deployed by the agencies and then act as a private security watchman officer, having been securing a DDO, so pwedeng hulihin yung gwardiya nila. No? Pwedeng i-charge ng violation ng 10591 or ng 8294 in a violation of illegal possessions of deadly ammunitions and firearms. Kasi ang DDO, it will serve as the authority of their security personnel who are assigned or deployed on a certain private company to possess firearms. Okay, so ito yung pinaka-importante, itong DDO. Kailangan bigyan ng DDO ng private security agency yung kanilang security guard na inassign nila doon para mag-protect ng kliyente kung saan nakakontrata sa kanila. So, yung DDO. Okay? So, DDO is a written order issued by superior officer, usually the private security agency, branch manager or operations officer assigning the performance of private security detective services duty. So, ito yung kailangan na yung DDO. Kumbaga pa ito, parang ito yung tinatawag nila na mission order. No? Okay, so balikan na natin yung DDO. Gaano ito kaimportante sa buhay ng isang private security officer or private detective officer. Kunyari, lisensyado ka. Ngayon, nakaposting ka ngayon sa SM, ibiglang nag-conduct ng surprise inspection yung PNP SAGSD. Tapos, hiningan ka ng lisensya. May pinakita ka, walang problema. Complete uniform ka. Ngayon, hiningan ka ng DDO. Wala kang naibigay na DDO. Eh sabi mo, hindi ka nabigyan ng DDO. Then, the firearms that you possess, then, the PNP SAGSD authorized officers have an authority to confiscate your firearms. No? Pero, hindi mo na i-confiscate yan, tatawagan mo na yung kanilang agency, yung agency mo. Oh? So yun. Another, nag-conduct ka ng, nag-escort ka ng VIP. Ngayon, nahilingan ka ng isang tao na wala ka palang DDO. So, tumawag sa PNP SAGSD, ngayon binara ka, bakit ka? So, anong trabaho mo? Bakit nagbabodyguard ka? Private security ka ba? Or ano ka ba? Or personal ka bang bodyguard? Sabi mo, private detective ka. Ngayon, hiningan ka ng DDO, wala kang DDO. So, meaning you're not authorized to conduct investigation or PBI kung wala ka namang authority, kung wala kang DDO. So, kaya napaka-importante ng DDO. Okay? Now, let's go to the rule for license to operate. So, if you remember, meron doon sa section, sa rule 3, na meron sinabi doon na section 3, paragraph B of the rule 4, di ba, na yung sa prohibitions ng 5487. Under the section 9, who may organize and maintain private security agencies and private detective agency. Ito na yung sinasabi natin kanina, na hindi pwede ang foreigner na magtayo ng private security agency or private detective agency kung hindi siya Filipino citizen. Okay. Any Filipino citizen or corporations, association, partnership, 100% must be a Filipino. So, kailangan na nagmamayari ng is Filipino, of which is owned and controlled by Filipino citizens, may organize and maintain a private security agency or private detective agency. Okay? So, what are the basic requirements for an operator or manager of an agency? So, ito yung requirements. The operator or manager of an agency, including manager of branch offices, must be a Filipino citizen. not be less than 25 years of age. So kung ikaw ang may-ari, ikaw ang manager, kailangan yung age qualification or age requirements must be 25 years of age. Pero kung guardia ka, private security watchman agents, private security watchman o personnel ka, guardia ka, security guard ka, so ang minimum age requirement is 18 years old in above, but not more than 50 years of age. So kaya kung 49 ka, pwede ka pa mag-guardia, no? Then, a college graduate, ito yung sa ano ha, para hindi tayo mawala, para hindi kayo malito, itong pinag-usapan natin under the section 2, the paragraph 2, so ito yung mga taong mag-practice ng consultant, magtayo ng city agency or training school, no? So ito yun sila, no? Ito yung mga requirements nila from age up to their educational qualifications, as well as their capability to engage in security business. It has taken a course, seminar, or industry security management and must have adequate training or experience in any security business. May sabi natin kanina, no? Kailangan mag-undergo ng seminars. Then, siyempre, must we have a good moral character. Now, under the paragraph B, for the new applicants of licensed office shall be required to obtain a minimum capitalization of 1 million pesos. Dito say, gusto mo magtayo ng private detective agency or training agency. So, kailangan meron kang initial capital of 1 million plus the initial bank deposit of 500,000 pesos. So, kailangan meron kang 500,000 deposit doon sa bangko, no? Sa plus yung capital mo na 1 million para to give you a privilege to engage in any private security business industry or operations, no? Kailangan meron kang 1 million plus 500,000 pesos bank deposit bago ka makapagsimula ng security agency. Now, under the section 3 of the Rule 4, limitation, disqualifications, and prohibitions. So, ano naman itong limitation, disqualification, and prohibitions na sinasabi ng section 3 under ng Rule 4? Sabi ng paragraph A, no person shall organize or have an interest in more than one agency. So, para hindi tayo malito, ang sinasabi dito, have interest in more than one agency, so, limited lang ito, let's say, dito sa Davao City. Kunyari, ang private security agency mo is Mandaraya Private Security Agency. So, meaning, you cannot make a branch here in a certain locality on where the main office is also located. So, hindi ka pwede magtayo ng branch within the same locality. No? Bawal yun under the section 3, paragraph A. So, kung gusto mo magtayo ng branch, so, doon ka sa ibang munisipyo or probinsya. Pwede yun. Pero if you put a branch on the same locality, that is tantamount to the prohibitions of the Rule 3. Or as well as in the Rule 4, section 3, paragraph A. So, iyon ang ibig sabihin ng interest in more than one agency. So, ang purpose ng batas is to give a chance those other persons to engage on security business industries and also to maintain the smooth flow of a healthy competitions. No? Healthy competitions. Hindi kailangan ng immonopolize. No? Now, under the paragraph B, sino naman itong hindi pwedeng sumausaw or magtayo ng security agency because of their influence o baka may influensya nila? Elected or appointed government. So, ano ito appointed? If you say, city administrator, appointed man yan. Di ba? City treasurer, appointed yan. Or yung tinatawag natin na head of the 911. Okay, so, bawal yan sila, no? Government employees who may be called upon on account of the function of their respective offices in the implementation and enforcement of the provisions of Republic Act 5487. So, kasama dito yung principal ng mga eskwelahan ng government. Kasi pag principal ka ng government school, so meaning you are a government employee. Eh, tapos kayo, yung husband mo engaged na security agency. Then tapos, gusto ng husband mo na yung security na nagbabantay ng inyong school sa kanila, sa inyong buha. And that is violations under the paragraph B of the section 3. Kasi nga, you're a government, kaya mong influencean yung security agency, no? Or yung eskwelahan na ikaw yung magtayo doon. Of the provision of Republic Act 547 as amended its implementing rules and regulations, and any persons related to such government employee by affinity or consanguinity in the third semi-degree. So, ano ba itong may affinity? Kunyari, mama, papa mo, no? Yan. Ano yan sila? Yung tatawag natin na degree. So, they are the first degree. Di ba? Shall not hold an interest directly or indirectly. So, ano itong indirectly? Ikaw yung nag-middle in any security or watchman agency. So, bawal. Under the paragraph C, no agency shall offer, render, or accept services in gambling business except those authorized by the government. Like, for instance, yung fighting cock arena, dito sa yung galera, no? So, sa Matina, so authorized yun. Pero yung mga illegal, sinabi dito, illegal business services or enterprises. Okay? The extent of the security service being furnished by the security agency shall not go beyond the compound and property of the person established contracting the security service except in the security escorting big amount of money or balobos. Ito yung hindi naintindihan ng ibang mga gwardiya. No? Inutusan sila ng empleyado ng kumpanya kung saan sila nakadetail na magpamasin copy or bumili ng merienda. And then, bumili sila, they bring their issued firearms. So meaning, wala na sila doon sa compound. No? Wala na sila doon sa kanilang area. Meaning, pwede na siyang hulihin. Kung ano na siya sa police, naginuto na siya, pwede siyang ma-charge in a violation of the Section 3. Nga nung nagdala mang kagbaril, diri sa atbang, ang imong gibantay ito man dito sa pikas, so bawal na siya. Natin na po ibang mga gwardiya pag off-duty na, no? Dili na tanggalo ng ilang pistol belt, ya, tapos nag-possess pa rin sila of ammunitions, which that ammunition issued by their agency, ilang dinala sa ilang balay. So, ma-charge na sila of illegal possession of deadly ammunitions. So, bawal gina siya na ibang atik-atik, no? Anong inon. So, yung makasuhan, inon din sila kabalo. So, actually, kabalo na sila because the RA 547 is one of the mandatory requirements in their basic security training course, no? Isa sa ilang subject. Ano ba lagi mapatik-atik, no na siya, no? So main branch offices, yung sinasabi natin kaya under the paragraph A, no? All agencies shall maintain a main office in their registered addresses. Branch offices may be established and maintained in other provinces, cities where the security agencies has deployed security guards. So, ano siya? Let you say, Mandaraya Private Security Agency. Nasa sila security offices din. Tapos, nasa sila kliyente po sa Digos. No? Sa Digos, so, kinahanglan nila maghimo og branch or satellite office. So, kinahanglan, makabutang nito is Mandaraya Private Security Agency, address, main office, Davao City, address, telephone number, fax number. So, yan. So, kailangan yung, nakalagay din yung address ng main office. Okay? So, doon sa branches. Yan. Authority to operate outside principal offices. The following measures are promulgated to promote the healthy growth of private security industry as well as to minimize proliferation of marginal agencies and particular. Ito yung sinasabi natin na so para magkaroon naman ng healthy competitions. Hindi na suluhin na lang yung buong lugar, no? Yung isang lugar ng isang malakas at naunang security agency. Kaya ang ginagawa ng iba, nagtatayo sila ng branches na iba ang pangalan, iba ang operation manager. Pero ang may-ari, isa pa rin. No? So, violation ba yun sa dami? Hindi siya sa violation sa dami. Bakit? Kasi iba man ang manager. Iba man ang nakarehistro sa SEC o sa DTI. Ibang pangalan, ibang agency, ibang tao. So, ibig sabihin, that is not a violation. Pero, kung legality, baka violation yun siya. Kaya lang, ang mga negosyante kasi kaya siya marunong magpalusot yan siya. Dito siya, yung anak ang nagdala, iba naman yung anak, iba naman yung kanyang agency. So, yun, no? Okay, under the paragraph 1 of the paragraph F, no new or moribund but previous license privacy. So, ano itong new or new moribund? Ito yung mga dating security agency na nagsara. Yung sabi natin na moribund o nagsara na siya, no? Nagkaroon na ng disease operations. But, nung nagkaroon ulit siya ng kwarta, meron na sa business partner, tinayo niya ulit. So, papayagan siya mag-operate ulit, provided na meron siyang kapasidad at saka yung kanyang business is viable ba? No? Pwede bang makasustain? Kaya ba niyang makipag-compete? O kaya ba niyang magbayad ng sweldo sa kanyang mga empleyado? So, yun. Pero kung hindi kaya, so hindi ka na pwedeng papayagang mag-operate ulit. Kasi yung sabi ng no new or moribund. So, ibig sabihin, yung nagtayo ka pero wala ka namang kapasidad na mag-operate, so hindi ka papayagan. Kaya dati ka nag-operate, kaya lang na-bankrupt ka. So, after a year, huli kang bumalik. So, titingnan din ng PNP SARS kung meron ka bang kakayahan. Kaya mo na ba uling magsimula sa panibagong negosyo? Okay? Private security agencies operating at regions outside at main office shall be required to register with the nearest provincial police office and shall submit the authenticated machine copy of the following documents. So ito naman, ito siya, nagtayo ka ng branch dito siya sa Davao del Sur. Kailangan mo pa ba mag-secure ng bagong license? So hindi na. Ang kailangan mo lang is you have an authenticated copy of the license to operate of the main office. Then, license of the firearms to be issued, yung kopya. List of the officers and security guards. So, listahan ng SSO mo doon, at saka yung listahan ng mga pangalan, mga guardian na na-assign doon, at saka yung appointment order of branch, detachment manager, or ED. So, kailangan kung sino yung branch manager doon, so kailangan meron siyang appointment order na galing sa main. So, yan. Yan lang yung kailangan, no? Hindi mo na kailangan mag-apply ulit ng panibagong lisensya. Kailangan mo lang isang mga kopya. All applicants for license to shall, in addition to requirements imposed pursuant to Republic Act 547 as amended, and these rules and regulations be required to attend a private security agency, company guard forces, operators, and management seminar or workshop. So lahat ng mga may-ari o manager ng private security agency, pag mayroong seminar ang PSIS, kung kailangan nila mag-attend, mandatory yun as part of the renewal of their business firm license to operate as well as their license to practice. So, kailangan yun siya, no? Okay, so under the paragraph H of the section 4. So, ito yung sabi ko kanina, yung kabit system. So, prohibitions on kabit systems, operators, no? Number 1, no licensed security agency shall operate, promote, and enter into an agreement of merger or kabit system is any person or group of persons for the purpose of organizing branch unit or subsidiary under the separate control and ownership. So actually, kung yung isang agency, pero anak ang nagdala, siya yung may-ari, operation manager, so, but they are using one name, that is considered as merger, no? Or yung isang agency, tapos yung isang agency nakipag-merge siya doon, and then using the same, let's say, Mandaraya Security Agency, and Mandarambo Security Agency. So, ibig sabihin, nag-merge silang dalawa. So, it is against the law because, why? Malakas ito, nag-merge yung dalawang malalakas. So, ano na mangyayari doon sa mga maliliit na agency? So, mawawala na sila. So, kaya bawal yung kabit systems. Another example of this, like for instance, no? Security officer ka or security operation manager ka ng security agency ng ibang lugar. Sabihin natin sa Maynila. So you have already an experience of 15 years as a security operation manager. And then, you decided to file an early retirement to your company. And then, bago ka nag-retire, sinabihan mo yung may-ari ng agency kung saan ka dating employed na gusto mo magtayo ng security agency dito sa Davao. Kaya lang, kasi wala kang yung sasabi natin na yung 1 million at saka yung 500,000 deposit. So wala kang ang kapasidad, no? So ang ginawa mo lang is, pinakaisapan mo yung may-ari kung saan ka dating nagtatrabaho na magtayo ka ng security agency sa Davao using the name of your former company, and then yung resibo din nila, yun din ang ginamit mo, nagpagawa ka ng fake na resibo. Ang usapan nyo lang, ang agreement nyo lang verbally, is magbibigay ka ng porsyento. Okay? Dahil mukhang pera din yung amo mo noon, so pumayag naman. Ngayon, so nagtayo ka na ngayon, at sabihin natin na yung agency mo noon is, lipat. Lipat security agency. Nagtayo ka ngayon dito sa Davao. So sabi mo dito is, lipat security agency, Davao branch. Okay? Main branch, Manila, address, nakalagay doon, no? May main office ka. Lipat security agency, Davao branch. Then tapos main office, Manila. So, dahil yung mga ginawa mong dokumento, mga piki, tapos kung naman, basta wala lang problema, tuloy-tuloy yung negosyo. Kasi magre-reklamo lang naman yung may-ari pag hindi ka na nagbigay ng porsyento, nakalimutan mo na siya, no? So yun, bawal yun siya, no? Hindi pwede na gamitin yung tapos it was happened here in Davao, no? I think sa isang malaking supermarket dito sa Davao na ang main office nila, yun na nga, ginamit yung main office, no? So ngayon, nung nag-verify na, kasi hindi na sila sinisweldohan ng agency nila, yung kunwari, Davao branch, no? So, ang nangyari ngayon, anong nangyari doon is, ang istorya, yung isang security officer, nag-file siya ng loan sa SSS. So, nalaman na hindi pala nakabayad ang kanilang agency, no? Na 6 months doon sa SSS. So, nagreklamo siya. Ang ginawa niya, so, ngayon, sinabi nung may-ari, balik ka ulit. Tinawagan ng SSS yung security agency. So, para hindi lang mabulabog, binayaran niya yung 6 months plus yung penalty doon sa SSS. Ang nangyari ngayon, sinabi niya doon sa kanyang kasama na okay na mag-loan. Nag-loan din. Kung mag-loan naman yung isa, ganun din ang problema. So, hanggang hindi na nagbayad. And then, hindi na sila siniswelduhan. So, nung mag-file na sila ng kaso sa Department of Labor, nung inimbestigahan na, there is no existence of branch doon sa agency dito sa Davao. Wala palang branch. So, piki pala yun kasi under yun ang kabit system. At saka, hindi rin maano yung may-ari ng agency sa Maynila, yung sinasabi ng main office, kasi wala naman talagang contract. No? So, yun. So, kaya kawawa yung mga naging guardian ng dating security agency na kung saan sila yung under contract ng isang malaking mall dito sa Davao. No? Kaya, yung mga security agency, security guard, kawawa kasi talaga yan kasi minsan yung mga agency na hindi nagbabayad ng mga mandatory insurance policy. No? So, kaya, every year dapat ipalok yung SSS or Pag-ibig kung nagbayad ba yung amon nyo, no? Okay. So, yan yung sinasabi natin dito. Ito, sinabi natin dito, organizing a branch unit or subsidiary under separate control and ownership, merger of security and entity shall not be recognized without prior approval from the Security and Exchange Commission. Yung sabi natin kaya, nung imbestigahan, hindi pala nakarehistro, walang existing registration doon sa SEC at saka sa DTI. So yan, no? Any of the following circumstances combination thereof shall be considered a prima facie evidence of the existence of CABIT system. So under the paragraph A of section 2, maintaining a separate branch unit or subsidiary office aside from the main office of the situated within the same locality. So bawal din magtayo ng branch sa isang lugar lang. Kunyari, subsidiary office, dito say, ayaw mo naman magtayo ng security agency doon sa Bigos. So, subsidiary lang siya. So, pwede yun. Pero kung dito ka nagtayo sa Kalinan, so, sabi mo, malayo man ang Kalinan sa downtown. So, remember, ang Kalinan is Davao City pa rin. Kaya lang, hindi pa rin mawala-wala yun sa mga tao. Nasanay na sila na, pag magpunta sila dito sa downtown, sasabihin na pupunta sila ng Davao, no? Parang nakalimutan na they are part of Davao City. Receiving direct payments from the agency's clientele, issuing official receipt. Sabi natin kanina, gumagawa siya ng mga picking resibo bearing the name of the agency on where he formerly employed, no? Kasi may usapan sila na every month magbibigay siya ng porsyento, no? So yun, ito yung nasabi ng paragraph B. Remitting directly Social Security System premiums, Medicare contribution, and other premium for other policy insurance benefits by the aforementioned branch unit or subsidiary office. So hindi naman talaga kayo konektado, pinagamit lang yung pangalan, no? PK, Bugos, tapos nagbabayad kayo ng security system. So ang hahabulin ngayon ng yung main branch. Ngayon wala na yung branch. Wala na yung subsidiary office. So, sino pang habulin? Then tapos sasabihin nung may-ari ng security, wala man kaming branch yan sa Davao. Dito lamang kami sa Cebu or Manila or Visayas. And then, so later on, nalaman na pikit pala talaga yung agency. No? Existence of an agreement between the licensee and a branch manager. Yung sinasabi natin kanina, no? Na meron silang agreements, meron silang usapan, no? Meron silang kasunduan. Okay, under the section 5, membership. Under the paragraph A of the section 5 of the rule 4, no regular license shall be granted to any private security agencies unless it has a minimum of 200 licensed private security personnel under is employed. It's saying, tayo ka ng security agency. And then, kailangan mo ng 200 private security personnel para ma-registered ka at and then mabigyan ka ng yung regular license to operate. Pero kung hindi ka umabot doon sa, kunyari, ang problema mo lang, wala ka ng problema sa ibang requirements, ang problema mo lang is yung tao, so you will be allowed to engage on a private security agencies provided na you need to comply before the renewal of your license to operate. Kasi ang ibibigay sa iyo is temporary license to operate. So kasi kulang ka ng tao. Ngayon, tama naman yung tao mo. Pero yung firearms mo, kulang kasi pag meron kang 200 na security ka, dapat meron kang 100 units na firearm kasi bawat isang baril, dalawang security ang katumbas niyan, no? So, kailangan, sige, bibigyan ka ng temporary. Ngayon, pag ano mo, hindi mo na-comply, so, yung temporary mo, maano yan siya, ma-forfeit na yan siya, no? So, ano na yan siya, maribo. Pero meron ding ibang security agency, nakakuha sila ng regular license to operate dahil kulang lang sila ng tao. Ulit yung say, 180, kulang sila ng 20, binigyan na sila ngayon ng regular license to operate. Pero nung mag-renew sila, hindi pa rin sila nagka-qualify. So yung regular nila, marirevert yun sa temporary license to operate. So, i-revert yun, no? So, magiging temporary yung lisensya nila. Kasi hindi man nila na-comply yung requirements. Okay, under the paragraph, no regular license shall be granted to any company guard forces or private detective agencies unless it has a minimum of 30 licensed private safety personnel under its employee. So kung private detective naman yung agency mo, kailangan meron kang minimum of 30 licensed private safety personnel. So pag tinatanong nyo naman, ano ba ang maximum security personnel to be hired by the company? So, private security agency or private detective agency, so the maximum licensed private security personnel is not more than 1,000, no? 1,000 lang ang maximum. Hindi ka na pwede magsobra sa 1,000. Yun ang maximum number of licensed private security personnel. Ma-private security agency man yan o ma-private detective agency. So, 1,000 lang ang maximum. Ngayon, sir, kailangan ba ng firearms ang private detective agency? Optional. So the private detective agencies to possess firearms is optional. Unlike doon sa private security agency na mandatory, no? The maximum number of private security personnel that or PSA, CGI, PDA, train, sabi natin kanina, shall be 1,000 only, no? Hindi na kailangan lumagpas pa sa 1,000. Ang minimum sa private security agency is 200. Sa private detective agency is 30. So, ang maximum, 1,000. Okay. Now, let's go to the part 2 of Section 6 of the Rule 4. Application for license to operate. The application shall be made in writing by the owner. Alam nga na walang verbal, no? For single proprietorship or authorized person duly designated by the corporations or partnership through a board resolution. Kung wala sila, kurpo, so dapat na board resolution kung insagid ang ilahang chairman, isang vice president, or whatever. So, kailangan nakalista dito ang mga list of board of trustee. Kasi kailangan yan siya ng Securities Commission. And shall be filed with the Chief of the Philippine National Police through the PNP Security Agency in Guard Supervision Divisions, Civil Security or PNP such the CSG, no? Okay, so Section 7, License to Operate. So under the Rule 4, Section 7, license to operate shall be issued corresponding to the purpose of organized private security agency. So meaning, so if your security business is referring to private security training school, so that is the only license that will be issued to you because yun naman ang in-applyan mo. Pero kung ang agency mo at the same time, training school siya, and then private security watchman agency, so there should be a separate license. No? Kaya dapat doon ko bukiyang kwa, ulay man ang training school, ay po ang mag-provide og security services. So, kinanglan, iya pong ikuan, no? Kung private security agencies and detective, so, doon po diyang kwaon nga LTO. Kaya lahi man ang empleyado niya sa detective, lahi po ang sa kuan, private security watchman. So, lahi-lahi, no? So, private security detective agency, LTO, license issued to persons, corporations, associates, partnership whose primary purpose to provide, offer commercial private security and or detective services for hire, commissions, or compensation. Okay, company guard forces. So, kanang mga private company nga nagkuha sila, dapat na po sila license, but ang ubang kumpanya, nag-attach lang sila sa agency. No? Dahil untong pangalan sa agency, so na sila yung memorandum of agreement. No? So, ginabuhat na, bisag asam. No? So, matingala lang ka nga, ang nagpasweldo sa isa ka security, ang katong kumpanya niya, mangutana ka nga, nganong lahi man imong sweldo. So, pumunta ka sa agency, may siya nga, sa kung manggiko, nagasa ko ang pili mga kumpanya. Under man ko sa ilaha. Pero guard ang ako ang unsa ni job description. So, dili na ka matingala kay tungod kay nana sila memorandum of agreement sa usa ka agency, nag-attach lang na sila, no? Okay, para dili na sila mag-apply pa og LTO. Okay. License certificate issued to persons, corporations, associations, partnership not doing business nor organized purposely or principally as a private safety guard or detective agency who is utilizing for a security purpose any of its employees to render private security or detective services. So man ang uban para dili na kay dako gasto, so nag-attach sila sa agency pasanang na yung mga let me say kanang National Bookstore o takabalo basi nag-attach lang na sila, no? Kanang Rose Pawn Shop kana, no? Okay. So government guard unit certificate of registration. So we are now on the government security guard process. License certificate issued to national or local government or any agency or instrumentality thereof or government-owned or controlled corporation not doing business nor organized purposely or principally as a private security guard or detective agencies which is utilizing for its purpose any of its employees to render private security or detective agencies. So mao po niyang ginahatag sila kining GGCR, no? Section 8, status and validity of the license. Now, the license to operate, that is only, the lifespan of that is only 2 years, no? Pero ang license to practice security professions, that is, the lifespan of that is 3 years. But take note, dili ang lisensya sa gwardiya, dili ni siya pareha sa ubang lisensya na gina-issue sa government, kasi ng driver's license. So 3 years man po na siya. Ang expiration ana is on or before sa imong birthday. Pero ang lisensya sa gwardiya, kung kanus ana siya gi-issue, dito say October. So October po ang expiration ana niya, imong birthday kay January. So dili pa na sa expire sa January, sa October pa na siya, kay October man na siya na issue. So lahi ang iyang mode, no, sa iyang expiration. So kung kanus ato siya na issue, so mao po na yung expiration, dili sa iyang birthday, no? Pero katong license to operate, so 2 years lang na siya. And then 60 days before the day of the expiration, kinahanglan ma-renew na siya. Or else ihulog na siya nga expired. And then pag mag-renew na sila at that time, kita nag-expire siya is January 31. Tapos supposed to be kay 60 days man, so December, November. So dapat nakaparenew na siya atong December. Kaya wala niya na-renew, January 31 niya renew, so na siya multa. So kay mao man na ang nakabutang sa sa rules and regulation. Okay? Regular LTO issued after complying with licensing requirements of private security agencies having obtained and maintained its employee at least 200 security personnel and the company guard forces and private detective agencies having obtained and maintained its employed at least 30 security personnel and private detective respectively. No? So, balang siya ang ginataga ng regular LTO. Pero natay case-to-case basis para itong isulti na ko ganina. Kung kay 190 lang ngayang tao, wala problema na sa kwan. So, tagaan niya po na sa regular LTO, pero kuhan siya. Yan ang ginatawag na ito case-to-case. If ever nga dili niya ma-comply ang number of security personnel during the time of the renewal, so ang iyang regular LTO, i-revert na siya into temporary. No? Katong naggunit og temporary, wala din niya na-comply, so automatic na to siya nga i-revoke. No, dili na siya i-renew. Eh, wala man niya na-comply. So, for almost 2 years, man ang ubang agency ang ginabuhat nila, hiring sila security. Pero wala na posting. Ang purpose lang nila is makakuha sila atong required number of security personnel. So, ikaw po nang-apply dito, submit ka sa imong papers, nag-submit ka dito, kumplito, naka-lisensya, na masing copy sa imong lisensya, pero pag ano dahil, gigamit na imong lisensya para lang ang ilang license to operate, makontinue lang. So, ingan ang ginabuhat sa ubang mga security agency. No, ingnon lang nga, tawagon kapag nanay posting. So, napo ni mga focus ng ubang security agency, bungot kayo. Such license may be renewed following conformity with renewal requirement as prescribed and the standard operating procedures of the RA 5487. So temporary, no? Initial and conditional issuance to new private security agencies and to private security agencies holding regular LTO. So mano siya, not able to maintain the minimum number of security personnel or conform to standard for them to be able to attain the minimum number of security personnel or comply with the licensing standard prior to issuance. Reissuance of regular items as issuance shall not be renewable nor be extendable. Unless one cancelled or revoked in any provisions thereof modified, all license to operate shall have a validity of 2 years. So ang license to operate lang ang 2 years, pero katong license to practice as a security provision is 3 years na karon, no? Pero ang expiration niya, as I've said, dili sa iyang adlaw sa iyang birthday, kung kanusa na issue ang iyang license to practice security provisions. Now, temporary LPs upon expirations are automatically cancelled. Yan naman, kaya wala man yan na comply ang mandatory requirements. The expiry date of license to operate shall be on the last day of the month of the second year, corresponding to the last number before the year series number of the assigned number of the LTO. LTO number PSA 001-002. So meaning po na ito, 2001 at 2002. No? So, automatic, kaya 2002 man, so kung kano saan na-issue, if you say January 31, so dapat ma-renew niya na is 2 months before the day of the expirations. Okay? For the purpose, the appropriate transition period shall be provided up to the effectivity of these rules and regulations. Okay, so under the sections 11, renewal of license to operate. Filing applications for renewal and late filing. All applications for renewal of license to operate shall be filed at least 60 days before the expiry date of the LTO. So klaro kayo, no? So 60 days before the expiration. So dapat kung February na siya, January, dapat nakarehistro siya within the time period, no? 60 days before the expiry. So dapat January na renew na niya, no? Thereafter shall be penalized for late filing. So kung na iyang renew at the day of the expiration, so na siya ay fines, no? Magbayad na siya multa. Failure to conform the standard for renewal. Renewal applicants holders of regular license not able to maintain. So katuning na ay city agency nga, itagaan sa regular na license pero during the day of the renewal, wala niya na maintain ang iyang katong gipangayo sa iya. Under this employee or licensing requirements at the time of filing of application shall be reverted to temporary status. So, gikan sa regular, may mong temporary nga naman. Ang iyang wala niya na-maintain ang number of 60% nga katong 200. And issued a temporary LTO. Within its jurisdiction, the agency applicant may comply with the required minimum number of employees, security personnel or license renewal requirements prior to the reissuance or renewal of its regular LTO. So, tinanglan, i-maintain yun. Now, failure to file a renewal. The license to operate application for renewal of regular license to operate who fail to file applications 60 days after the expiry date of the LTO. So pag ganyan na before, karon 60 days after, ito si January 31. So February, March, wala gapon mo sa na-renew. So automatically, ang imuhang license to operate shall be considered as cancelled. Eh, wala man mo siya na-renew within a grace period nga gihatag sa mga 60 days after the expiry date. Kung kaganin na, 60 days before the expiry date, dapat imo na siyang ma-renew. Yung atong gusto niya, yung paragraph C, wala nimo siya na-renew after 60 days of the day of the expiration. No, nilampas ka na. Okay, so paragraph D, in addition to other renewal requirements under provision of these rules and regulations, no application shall be approved unless a certification is issued by the Firearms Exclusive Division, Cybersecurity Group, or the FADCSC to the effect that all licensed firearms of the agency concerns are are updated or renewed for at least 1 year forthcoming during the validity of the renewed LTO. So karon nagpa-renew po ka tapos ang imong mga firearms, units imong firearms na ay wala na renew ang iyang lisensya. So dili pud ka ma-renew, dili pud i-renew ang imong LTO not unless na naay certificate gikan sa FAD na ang inyong baril na rehistro na. So kung walay certificate of renewal of license to possess firearms gikan sa FAD, so dili gyapon ma-renew ang lisensya sa inyong security agency. Okay, so mao po na siya ang mandatory requirements. Kinahanglan ang mga baril rehistrado pod, no? So under the Section 12, approval, cancellation, and suspension of LTA unless revoked or modified by the chief. Kasarang sa modified. Ang imong regular gihimo unsa regular, no? Mana modification. The authority to approve, cancel, or suspend the license shall be exercised by the following. Under the paragraph A of the Section 12, approval of new regular LTO, so the chief PNP. Cancellation of regular LTO, chief PNP gapon. Reinstatement of regular LTO, chief PNP gapon. Suspension of regular LTO, chief PNP lang gapon. Renewal of regular LTO, DCSG, no? Or Deputy Chief sa SAGSD. Then, approval of temporary is DCSG. Katulad lang sa kuan. There is ato ang regional office, no? Reversions of regular or temporary, so DCSG. Cancellation of temporary LTO, DCSG. Suspension of temporary LTO, DCSG lang gapon. Okay, now let's go to the Section 13, cancellation of license to operate. All cancellations shall be issued the corresponding cease to operate orders. Thereafter, the concerned agency shall stop its operation and deposit its firearms with the Firearms Exclusive Division. So, saan man siya? DPC cancel na imong LTO. So, meaning naman kay mga baril. So, asa man sa ibutang. So, automatic, the owner of the private security should voluntarily turn over or deposit all their firearms to the Firearms Exclusive Division for safekeeping. So, mo nang uban, pagka nang magsirado na sila, palugi na sila, bankrupt na sila, ginabuhat nila, ilang ginapamalgya ang ilang mga baril sa other agency. So, nga naman. So, nga nang ilang man nagibuhat, nga nang ilang ibaliga, tungod kay nakabalo sila, na basig di na sila mubalik sa the same na negosyo. So, kaysa ilang i-deposit sa FAD, na dili nila ma-renew. So, na sila bayaran. So, samantala, kung ilang ibaliga, nakakwarta pa sila. So, nga na ang mga negosyante, no? Until legal disposition thereof by the agency in accordance with existing firearms laws, rules, and regulation. Now, under the Section 14, voluntary cease to operate, managinin mo na ito na you are voluntarily stopping your operations, no? Katong itong natong cease and desist of operation, voluntary ka nga, dili na ka mag-operate. So, kinahanglan manangig po ka dito sa PNP SAGSD o sa FAD para wala kay financial liability, no? Anticipated cessation of operation voluntarily and officially submitted by the agency shall be issued the corresponding CTO. Sa mga CTO, cease to operate during the effectivity date of such anticipated cessations. So, kinahanglan kung ano saan niya undang, ito say karong January. So, by January, makabutang na dito na the private security agency cease to operate effectively January 2021. No? The corresponding day of the period which has anticipated says thereafter that concerned agency shall stop its operation and deposit its firearms if any remains. Kung napay nabilin, kung wala nabilin, kaya kung nagpamaligya, wala na. With the Firearms Exclusive Division. So, ang tanang baril, iparehistro sa FAD, ma-private agency man nasa o ma-private individual, no? or nearest police regional office for safekeeping until legal dispositions thereof by the agency in accordance with existing firearms laws, rules, and regulation. So, deposit yun sa FEBCSG. Okay, license to exercise private security provision. So, katong sa tao na po ni. Who may apply for license to exercise private security provision? Any Filipino citizen may apply for license to exercise private security provisions to engage in the occupations, calling or employment either as private security guard, private security officer, private detective, or private security consultant. Now, if you ask me, ngayon mga, what if sir kung mistizo siya sir, Filipino-American siya sir. Now, pero ang iyang citizenship atong tanawon, kung Filipino citizenship ang nakabutang sa iyang birth certificate, so there is no problem. Pero kung dual citizenship, murag na i-question niya, no? So, ambot, what is the ruling of that? Kung dual citizenship siya, so meaning, wala na loyalties Pilipinas. So, kailangan mamili siya. He needs to renounce his other citizenship and embrace with the Filipino citizenship. Kaya di ba pwede nga dual. Okay, ang mo din Filipino citizen man, pero kung PhilAm siya, pero ang iyang citizenship is Filipino, so there is no problem. Kay Filipino man siya para may requirements dire. Okay? So, Section 2, Basic Requirements of Private Security Personnel. So, Filipino citizen, klaro kayo no. Kung Pilipinong amaw na siya, pero Pilipino man yung gigakos na nationality niya, so wala problema. Then, not be less than 18 years of age. So, money siya ang minimum age requirements para security professions. Pero katong mag-engage o security business, ang minimum age requirement ato is 25 years old, then college graduate. So, kung maging mo lang private security guard, so pwede ra 18 years old, natapos high school graduate, no? Pero kung high school graduate mangud ka, so depende na sa agency, okay lang, tangkad ka. Then, must have taken private security courses, seminar, and must have adequate experience in security business or rendering security detective services. Okay? Okay, paragraph D. Of good moral character and must not have been convicted of any crime. So, common kayong requirements, no? So, kailangan wala ka na convicto sa mga kasong ipasaka sa imo, ha? And then, siyempre, physically and mentally fit. Alam nga naman, physically fit ka, pero di man po ka mentally fit. Then, Section 3, Qualification of Private Security Guard. No person shall be licensed as security guard unless he possesses the following qualification. Okay, balik naman Filipino citizen, high school graduate, physically and mentally fit, not less than 18 years of age, nor more than 50 years of age. So meaning 50 years old and below, but not less than 18 years of age for the new applicant. Okay? Has undergone pre-licensing training course or its equivalent. So mag-undergo pre-licensing training. Pero ang uban, bayad lang. Magpakita lang sa firing. No? Mga pagwardya, no? Nangamuti. Kaya wala magkabalo sa ibuhaton. Kaya ipamemorize ana sa ila ang naman 11GO o ang Security Code of Conduct o Security Code of Ethics. Kaya mara man ang ipangutana dito sa agency pag mag-apply ka. Inong ka, did you familiarize the general orders? O sir, sige. Give out of 11, give 5. No? So, yung muna sang oral dito, no? Sa opisina. So, marami na importante. Ang kanang 11GO, ma-memorize ni mo. Now, qualification of security consultant. So, pag security consultant, lain na po ang iyang qualification, no? Especially ang iyang educational qualification o training qualification. No person shall be licensed as a security consultant unless he possesses the following qualification. A Filipino citizen, physically and mentally fit, holder of master's degree. No? Pag security consultant, kinanglan master's degree ka. either criminology, public administration, master of national security administration, industrial security administration, or law enforcement administration. Then, must have at least 10 years experience in the security operations and management of security businesses. So, pag security consultant, kailangan master's degree ka and then must have 10 years of experience in security management business. Qualification of private detective, gaganina, qualifications of security consultant, karon private detective. No person shall be licensed as a private detective unless possess the following qualification. So, mati, Pilipinong amaw, physically mentally fit, holder of baccalaureate degree. So, pag private detective, holder of baccalaureate degree, preferably Bachelor of Laws, Bachelor of Science in Criminology, akiyaw po, no? So, taas-taas na po niya ng qualification, kailangan baccalaureate degree ka, no? Kung private detective ang imuhang professions. Graduate of Criminal Investigation course offered by the Philippine National Police or the National Bureau of Investigation, or any police training school or detective training in any of those recognized training centers. Sa mga na po security investigation course, no? Mahal-mahal po ng bayad na, 10,000 kayo. Advanced ROTC or CMT graduate or its equivalent, no? So, kung graduate ka sa kuhan, ROTC, pwede mo ka may private detective. Okay, exemption from basic licensing training. So who are those exempt from the basic licensing training course program? So ang exempted ani katong former member of the PNP, CAPGO, Army, and then advanced ROTC training. No? Sila lang ang exempted na mo undergo o pre-licensing training basic security course program. But they are only exempted on the pre-licensing training. But in the time of the renewal sa refresher course, kung ma-expire na ilang license to practice security professions, so mag-renew sila. So one of the mandatory requirement for the renewal of the license to practice security professions is to undergo a refresher course. So dili na sila exempted ya, wala na exempted. Exempted lang ang dating police, dating Army, CAPGO o katong ROTC advanced officer sa licensing training, katong magkuha pa lang og lisensya. Pero kung sa renewal na, mo undergo gid sila mandatory refresher course, so dili sila exempted. Veterans and retired military, police personnel, or those honorably discharged of military or police personnel possessing all the qualifications mentioned in the preceding section shall be exempted from pre-licensing training seminar and academic scholastic attainment, which is requirement for the initial issuance of license to exercise private security professions, but shall not, however, be exempted from taking the refresher training course or its equivalent. So, klaro kayo, no? Likewise, graduates of the ROTC Advanced, CSDF, or equivalent to PNP training, graduates shall be exempted from the required basic licensing training seminar. So what are the types of license? So, ang types of license na to, regular o temporary. So, sir, sa kwan, sir, kanang sa private practice security professions, pila ka lisensya? Isa lang ka lisensya, katura, isa. Pero sa business, sa security agency, dua, temporary o regular. Okay. Temporary license, initials and conditional sales while awaiting issuance of regular license, identification cards, or the interim for the purpose not covered by the Rule 5. Now, so namay uban ni nauman na og training sa pre-licensing. So kay ang ilang lisensya kay proseso pa, so katong nilang ipakita na katong gibayad nila na nag-process na sila sa ilang lisensya katong resibo gikan sa land bank, no? Ano ang ipakita. So mo lang daladalahon ay pangalan na, I forgot the name of that papers, no? Nga It will serve also as a license. Murag ka na mag-apply tag ninyo sa itong lisensya, mag-appeal pa. No plastic card available, ana. Regular license generate privacy personal license card duration or validity of which shall be for 2 years. Okay, so for the private security personnel, atong na 2 years karon na may bago, it was by the virtue of Memorandum Order Series of 2016, 2016, 2012, so 3 years na ang lisensya, no, expiration date sa private security personnel. So 2012 ata itong memorandum order nga nigawas. Now, use of firearms. Now, take note. So, 1 firearm per every 2 private security personnel. So, ibig sabihin, isang baril, 2 gwardiya, no? So, kung siya, shifting method. So, Section 1, position of firearms for private security agency, private detective agency, company, blah, 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 shall be entitled to possess firearms after satisfactory complying with the requirements as prescribed by the Chief Philippine National Police pertinent to the possession of firearms, provided that the number of firearms shall not exceed 1 firearm for every 2 security guard in its employ. No private security agency, private detective agency, company, security force, government security shall be allowed to possess firearms in excess of 500 units. So, anong 500 units lang man ang pwedeng i-possess sa private security agencies? Because the maximum number of security personnel is only 1,000. No? I-divide lang nimo sa 2, 500 na. 500 lang ang kinahanglan. Is the private security agency is allowed to possess high-powered firearms? Yes, in a case-to-case basis, pwede sila magkuha ng high-powered firearms, but not more than 10% of the total firearms unit sa agency. Ito siya, kung nasa 500, so 10% ana, 50 lang. Now, restriction to possess high-powered firearms. So, manin itong ganina, no? So, technically, legally, dili sila pwede mag-possess of high-powered firearms. Pero, in a case-to-case basis, kung highly dangerous ang area, so the FEDCSG will allow the private security agency to possess high-powered firearms in which the caliber is more than the .22 or .38. So, kaya 45, pwede ba na siya sa gwardiya? Actually, dili na siya pwede. No? Kaya consider maguna sa high power. So, dapat sila 9mm lang. Pero kita na ito karon, grabe mga baril ang kuha. No? Kaya ma-justify man po nila nga ang bangko that is considered as kuhan siya, kanang prone to be a subject of a victim of robbery. So, kinanglan, nagi high-powered firearms, no? A private detective agency, a private security company, security services, government security unit is not allowed to possess high-caliber firearm considered as military-type weapons such as M16, M14, caliber .30, carbine, M1 Garand, and other rifles and special weapons with bores bigger than caliber .22. So makita ka na ito, napasilay Galil, napasilay TJ9, no? Napag-yung AK-47. Napay kuan Israeli made na kuan ng M60. So center fire magazine caliber 3.5 other pistol with bores smaller than .38 caliber but with firing characteristic of full automatic burst and 3-run burst. However, when such entities are operating in areas where there is upsurge of lawlessness and criminality as determined by the Chief PNP, Police Regional Office, Regional Director, or their authorized representative, they may be allowed to acquire, possess, and use high-powered firearms under the following conditions. So, mga itong sorti, no? Kung highly dangerous ang areas prescribed by the Chief PNP or Regional Director. So, sa pila lang po kung ilang pwedeng i-possess. Under the paragraph B, the firearms should first be registered with the Firearms Exclusive Division. So, again, no firearms should be possessed without having first securing a license to the Office of the Firearms Exclusive Divisions. Okay? So, kailangan tanang baril, nakarehistro o naapod siya ay lisensya. Okay? So, So under the paragraph C, the total number of high-power firearms that an agency or security force unit is authorized to possess shall not exceed 10%. So dili mo sobra sa 10%. So kung naa siya 20 kabuok nga baril, to possess shall not exceed 10% of the total number of security guard or watchman and his employees. So kung nasa 200, so 20 kabuok lang na high-power firearms ang ilang i-possess. Pero natuman ba ni? So that is the question, no? So ang takabalo kung gituman magiling balaoran no? And the paragraph D, the duly licensed security or watchman who will use the firearms shall first be given adequate training in the care and use thereof, will be under the supervision of qualified officers and men of the Philippine National Police. So muna, ang part sa training sa gwardiya, ang katong firing. No? So firing, kaya mo ba, wala may training. So wala niya pilang school training sa pre-licensing, kay school bukol. So muna, makita niyo na ubang gwardiya diha, labi na ka na sa mga bukot-bukot na agency, ang kamot, naka-trigger guard na daan, no? So, muna, niya maglimpog kuhan, wala inspection risk kung naabay bala ang ang baril, muna, madisgrasya. Now, limitations in the carrying of firearms. Unless specified or exempted pursuant to the provisions of these rules and regulations or firearms laws, no firearms shall be borne nor be in the possession of any private security personnel except when the actual performance of duty in the prescribed uniform in the place and times so specified in the DDO. So kung nasan lang ka sa Gaisano, o gwardiya ka sa Gaisano, so ang imong area is kutob lang yun sa kurtahan sa Gaisano. Pero kung gawas ka diha, mulapas ka diha, wala na nabutang sa imuhang DDO, maini na kitang kag pulis nga na problema o kwarta, pwede kang daginuton, no? So muna, gwardiya ka, ayag ipataka og dalaan na imuhang firearm issued diya sa outside sa imong area of responsibility. Now, the firearm issued to security personnel or private security agency or private detective agencies, companies, security services, government units shall be carried by the security personnel only within the compound. So, klaro kayo ang butang sa paragraph B under sa limitation carrying firearm within the compound of the establishment where he is assigned to guard, except when the security personnel is courting big amount of money or valuables on conduction duties outside. So, katuloy mga nag-escort o partas ka lang sa mga armored car, no? In each jurisdiction or area of operation upon prior coordination with the nearest PNP units or within hot pursuit of criminal. So, pwede po, kung na-ay criminal, pwede na po mo dalon kay hot pursuit man. Pero dili ni mo pusilon. Now, Section 4, Duty Detailed Order, Private Security Agency or Private Detective. Agency, company, safety services, government guard unit detailing their security personnel on duty under the circumstances mentioned in the preceding section or while escorting big amount of cash or borrowable outside its jurisdictions or area of operation shall issue an appropriate duty detailed order to the security personnel concerned using the SACSD form number 12-94 under the following conditions. DDOs for the purpose of transporting agency licensed firearms from agency vault, office to post and back for posting, for routing, rotation, replacement of firearms, or conduction services duties shall be issued for not more than duration of 24 hours. So, karon murag na namin sa bagong memorandum, no? DDOs for the purpose of duties not requiring transport firearms outside of the physical compound of property client shall establishment shall be issued for not more than 30 days duration. So actually, wala man sila. Ginakuha na lang siya, open date man eh. Transport of firearms other than that covered in paragraph A and B under the Section 4, Rule 7 above shall require the appropriate transport permit issued by the Firearms Exclusive Division. So kasanang namoy branches sa Higos, pinahalan ang baril dito. So dapat mangayo og certificate of travel of firearms gikan sa FED, no? So nabi ani siya bayad, no, murag 150 per unit. Okay? The issuance of DDOs for private utility personnel protection service duties shall be prescribed in the standard operating procedure assured by the National PNP Headquarters in consideration of the Rule 12 of these rules and regulations. Okay, Section 6, disposition of confiscated firearms. So katong mga na-confiscated firearms because of some problems, like for instance, the security personnel assigned on a certain company, but the agency failed to issue BPO, so that will be subject for confiscation of firearms. So kawawa din naman yung security guard kung pailan siya ng kaso ng illegal possessions. Okay? So ang gagawin dyan is ipaalam na lang sa kumpanya. Ang gagawin dyan, magbabayad yung agency ng multa. Okay. So another issue is, like for instance, you are deploying an agency deployed as security personnel, and then the security personnel is expired yung kanyang license, no? Di expired na. So pag nag-inspection dito, na timingan nga expired ang lisensya sa gwardiya, dili man na dahil na siya basta-basta i-move out. So manawag ang katong monitoring officer or inspection officer sa PNP SAGSD na papulihan ang ilahang gwardiya nga ilang gi-detailed nga walay lisensya. So ang may tabuan na, ang agency pabayaran siya og multa kay nag-deploy siya og tao sa usa ka lugar nga walay lisensya. No? So bawal man na. Okay. So unsa po'y mahitabo atong gwardiya, pwede po siya ginuton sa pulis kay he is practicing as a private security personnel without having an authority from the government kay wala man siya lisensya. Now let's go to the disposition of confiscated firearms. So confiscated firearms. Any law enforcement officers authorized by law effecting the confiscation of firearms under any of the circumstances mentioned in the preceding section shall inform the Chief Philippine National Police to the CSG within 24 hours after such confiscation. So within 24 hours dapat paibaon ang regional director or ang nga ang baril sa gwardiya ilang i-confiscate para na ay proper disposal of the confiscated firearm. It is possessed by the private security personnel without having an order coming from their agency. The firearm shall be turned over immediately to the nearest Philippine National Police Unit. The station shall be responsible for the conveyance of the same to the Firearms Exclusive Division Cyber Security Group, except when charges have been filed against the suspect, in which case the firearm shall be turned over to the concerned court. So kung mapile ang kaso, so ang baril, dadaan na dito sa korte kaya mamantong ebidensya na illegal possession of firearms. So under the Section 7 of the Rule 7, filing of application of firearms, license application for licensing of firearms by any private security agency, private detective agency, or company shall be filed with the Firearms Exclusive Divisions. Okay? Now, Section 8, revocation of license to possess firearms may be revoked under any of the following instances. So, itong posibleng mahimong dahilan nga ma-revoke ang ilang lisensya sa pag-possess of firearms. So, unsa man yung mga butangan eh. So, under the paragraph A, failure to submit any issued firearm for verification as required. So, wala sila kasubmit og dokumento kung narehistro ba o na-renew. No? Carrying of firearms by security without appropriate duty detailed order. So, matugsulti na ito ganina. Pag wala DBO, so diligid pwede magbit-bit o baril ang gwardiya. No? When the firearm serial number has been duplicated, so muna usahay, no, naikambal ang baril. Isa lang ang gi-renew, ay isa lang ang giparehistro, pero duha ka bukang nagtag-iya sa serial number. So, muna kasagaran ginabuhat sa security agency tungkol sa kadagan sa ilang baril. Nya, di na po siya mamonitor. Carrying of firearms outside of the place stated in the permit or places prohibited under the law. So, katong, kung sa itong nakabutang sa DDO niya, tapos pa sa dito, sa pikas, nagmerinda o naniutog, idadala ang baril, ako sabi siya diya. conviction of the operator or manager of the agency of any crime. No, kung nakonbikto ang tagiya sa agency. When the firearm was reported lost, no, kung na-report na siya nawala niya, tapos pag-inspection, pag-verified, na ay kambal nga numero. Yan, nawala magka. Now, illegal possession of firearms. So karon ang ginabasihan na ito karong kabalaod is RA 10591, itong comprehensive firearms and explosive and other ammunitions na siya, no? No person employed as security guard or private detective shall use unlicensed firearms in the performance of their duties, nor be allowed to use firearms which duplicated serial numbers. So, di na po niya siya monitor. Di ba kinakalikaya nga naging mga kambal tupo. Section 10, stocking of ammunitions. Okay. So under the law, under the RA 547, private security agency is allowed to stock an extra ammunitions of not more than 50 rounds or 50 ammunitions, no, per unit. So, and then the private security personnel who are detailed in certain places, so katong security guard, pwede po sila magbit-bit o extra nga bala, dili mo sobra sa 25 ammunitions. Okay, so matagwad yan na. So 25 rounds, di siya dapat mo sobra. Authorized on a limited and reasonable quantity that will suit the requirement and need of such agency shall be subjected to inspection from time to time. Ang pangutana, ginabuhat ba kanina sa PNP SARS-D by the representative of the Chief Philippine National Police and unless otherwise provided or under the existing laws, shall not exceed a basic load of 50 rounds of ammunition per unit of duly licensed firearms. Individual issue to security guards shall be limited to 1 half of such basic load or 25 rounds for every security guard. No? So, for every security guard, so 25 rounds lang pwede nilang dalon nga extra ammunitions. Ang agency, so 50 rounds gina siya, no, per unit. Okay, so Section 11, instructional firearms accredited by private security training. School centers offers conformity with the licensing requirement may be licensed for instructional training or classroom purposes in a number and a type prescribed under existing firearm laws, rules, and regulations. So, katupong mga training school, so dapat ila pong iparesto kung napoy lisensya ilang ba nga gamiton para sa ilahang academic instructions. Now, utilization of private security agencies and personnel during the times of calamity. Now, the mayor may now require the private security, no, agency through the regional director, no, sa or kung sa national chief PNP. So kung tayo na ay kagubot, kaguliyang, so pwede mo kuan ang mayor, no, nga iyang i-utilize ang private security agency. But all private security personnel shall be under the strict supervision and control of the chief PNP or by the regional director. So ang talang instruction dito kuhaon sa regional director or sa chief PNP. So under the section 1, powers of city municipal mayor in case of emergency. In cases of emergency or in times of disaster or calamity, when the services of any city agencies, entity, and its personnel are needed, the city or municipal mayor will gathering or incorporate the members of the agencies or agencies nearest there of such disaster or calamity to help the maintenance of peace and order, preventions of crime. So pwede mo ang mayor or istuyaw niya ang mga talang private city agencies under his an area of responsibility nga mutabang sa pagbantay sa peace and order or sa kapsay kalinaw. Pero ang mag-supervise sa ilaha, mag-control sa ilaha, ang regional director or ang chief PNP. Okay? So, ang mayor ang makipag-istorya sa tanang agency. So, ang tanang agency, security agency, especially ang ilang training, ang ilang private security personnel, so under the strict supervision and control of the chief or the regional director. Okay? Our plans of vital of laws ordinance in the protection of lives and property. The deputized security guards shall receive direct orders from the chief of police of the city or municipality for the duration of the emergency, disasters, or calamity. So, ang makipagkuhan dito sa agency, ang mayor, so pag i-utilize na or i-deputize na mga private security personnel, so all private security personnel should get and receive orders coming from the chief, no, sa police, chief of police anyang lugar or regional director. Now, Section 2, supervision of the PNP. The PNP shall exercise general supervision over the operators of all 60 agencies and guards. In cases of emergency or in times of disaster or calamities, the chief PNP may deputize any safety guard to assist the PNP in the performance of police duties for the duration of such emergency, disasters, calamities, o katuloy muna ko ganina. Licensed guards who are actually assigned to clients with duty detailed orders shall be deputized by the chief PNP and clothed with authority to enforce law, rules, and regulation within each area of responsibility. So, sa kinala, mag-uniform din ang gwardiyan eh. Okay, so now let's go to with the coverage for the second exams. So the possible date of the second exam will be on November 20, 2020. So ang gamiton nga oras, 6:30 to 7:30 o 7:30 to 8:30. Okay? So muna gid ang atong official time. So now let's go break the leg. So physical security. So when we say physical security, it talks about the different types of security that we applied in order to protect our properties or businesses. Okay. So now let's talk about the idea of physical security or the concept of security. The concept of security in physical layers, it introduced and addressed external barriers such as fences, walls, gates, buildings, and internal barriers like access control systems, like itong mga computer technology, mga gadget. Internal controls and intrusions detection system are also addressed as the use of current technology like biometrics. Now, kini-ganing biometrics na katong fingerprinting ba? Actually, pwede man ni siya madaya. No? Pwede ni siya madaya, pwede po ni siya dauton. Pero di lang nato i-discuss kung sa pagdaot sa biometrics, no? Okay, the owner of the assets, on the other hand, must seek to diminish asset exposure. So, sabi niyo diminish, pagamayon ang exposure sa ilang property. So, sa paggamit sa mga other modes of countermeasures to ensure that the possible threat now will be successful. A protective system success is measured based on the cost of effectiveness of individual measures to counter threat. Now, since we believe that mahal kayo ang usa ka technology, pero ang iyang performance grabe, no? Nindot ang iyang performance dugay maguba. Pero tungod lagi sa usay magdinaginot, mupalitan ng China. Then, ang iyang performance is not so good like para CCTV. No, blurred, no, tapos dili pag yun. Nindot ang pagkuha sa zoom in. So, mo na nga, madaot yun, ang instead, madipit ang atong purpose sa CCTV. Now, take note, ang CCTV, wala gini siya kuan, no? It cannot deter criminals to commit a crime. Why? Dili man mo syagit ang CCTV, no? May mong effective ang CCTV kung naay nagmonitor every now and then. Okay? So mao gina siya ang purpose sa TV. Especially na CCTV pero wala man po memory aid. Na memory aid pero gamay ra pud ang gigabytes. So pag mapuno na to siya, so dili na ka maka rewind or maka review. Wala naman siya, puno naman niya. At that time pag isa na puno, di po ginahitabo ang krimen, no? So mo na nga dili gyud magdinaginot, no? Ipalit na lang ka og mga system, so dapat imo na lang gina siyang tudu-tuduhon. Okay. Minimize vulnerabilities and lessen the risk exposure. Okay, so what is physical security? Physical security is a system of barriers placed between the potential intruder and the matter to be protected. It is also considered as the foundations of security. Types of physical systems such as barriers. So many mga barriers, kural, no, katong gidiscuss na to ganyan sa taas. Okay, alarm system, no, pag igo ka sa sensor mo, tingog lang ka, kita mo na sa bangko nga. Ang usay pag kining alarm system sa bangko, pag naay magyani siya ilagha, mutingog gini siya, no, kay naman ni siya sensor device. No, naman ni siya katong ginatawag nila og microwave device, no, pag magyan na sa ilaga, magyan siya ka matarog ng gamay kayong wire da, tingog gina siya. Guard forces and other components excuse me, that do not achieve maximum security. Physical security are categorized into 5 levels, namely minimum security, low-level security, medium security, high-level security, and the maximum security. Now, take note, we have 5 levels of physical security. First, we have minimum, low level, medium, high, and the maximum. So, those are the 5 physical security. Now, let's talk first about the minimum security. This type of security is designed to prevent any unauthorized external activities, which may be in the form of simple intrusions or a serious armed attack. The physical barriers with doors and windows with ordinary locks. So, muna siya ang minimum security. Oral, gates. No, ang purpose lang nga na is wala mang giingon nga na ay barriers nga dili siya impenetrable siya, no? So ang tanang barriers penetrable na galing lang, ang very purpose ani is to delay the possible intrusions or attacks of the possible enemies that will bring hazard or potential damage to the property. Okay. So what is low-level security? Ganina, minimum security. This type of level of security is designed to impede and detect some unauthorized activity. So unsa man ning impede, no? To bar, no? To delay, no? Some unauthorized activity that may threaten safety. This consists of physical barriers and alarms that will give sounds and alarm the possible entry of unauthorized personnel or person. Now, balikan na itong previous na itong discussion, ang tanang empleyado, authorized sila to a certain areas to have an access. But there are some areas it is limited to the personnel who are not allowed to enter on a certain place. Okay? Kuan siya, restricted area siya. So, ang pwede lang makasulod dito, katong na authority nga, dito na-assign. Kung wala ka na-assign dito, di ka pwede mo sulod. What is the purpose of that? To prevent possible of espionage or what we call this kanang preparations, no? So, ang ginawa sa gida is kanang posible bitaw nga pagpangispiya, no? Kanang mangispy ba kasi mangawat ng dokumento or information na naloko na. So, makuha na ang formula or patent trade. Then we have the medium level security. This type of security level is designed to impede, no? Unsa man siya? To bar, no? Or to prevent, detect, and assess most unauthorized external and internal activity. So what are those? An advanced intrusion device installed apart in a secure area and must be monitored 24-hour basis. Unsa man siya? CCTV, no? O ang perimeter fence. Unsa man yung perimeter fence? So kinahanglan ginakuan gini siya, ginapatrol, no? Nagapatrol ani every now and then. So para maiwasan tong possible mabitaw ng ang ato ang fence barrier or wall barrier must be 8 feet in height, no? Including na ang top guard. Physical barrier or animal barrier must be set up in a perimeter before or beyond the confines of the asset being protected. So, mas maayo gid pag dako nga industry dapat nagid sila iro, no? Then tapos kining iro, duha gid ka tawo ang magkuan ani. So unsa man ni? So duha ka buk tawo ang mag-train ani nga iro kay para buntag 2 shiftings, no? 12 to 12 hours. So, yan, no? Aside sa private security watchman officer. Detailed security personnel but with the skills of martial arts. Oh, mangka. Sumuuna nga kanang basic training kag security na sila martial arts. Pero, ang nahitabo, ang martial arts nga gitudlo sa ilaha, murag compliance lang. No? Dapat, kawan yun. Muna ang ubang mga security, nga dagko kay security agency, ang ginapanguha nila is kanang criminology kay may martial arts and equipped with basic communication gadgets which is capable to give alarm or to give of assistance. Large manufacturing plants, large banded warehouses, no? So pagdagko na kay mga industriya dapat mga kuana po na, no? Di po basta-basta ang security agency ang ilang gina-contract ana. Okay, next is a high level of security. This type of system designed to possibly prevent, detect, assess, and authorize both external and internal activities. And this type of method composed of all the measures and devices incorporate the first 3 level, no? Security, perimeter fence, no? Guards and locks, then tapos communications or technologies, animal barrier. So grabe, no? Combination na gid ni siya. Maximum security level. This designed to impede, detect, assess, and neutralize all unauthorized external and internal activities. This system composed of all level securities incorporate the following: highly sensitive and sophisticated advanced alarm system. So gina-apply natin dito katong portal buttons, shadow alert, o kanang Viper, unsa pa ba ang mga kwanda, no? Latest latest model sa alarm system. So the very purpose of that is to detect the possible entry of those lowest elements while also using a certain sophisticated and advanced tools on how to get entry on the possible target, no? Kay kini mga hardcore criminals or mga organized criminal gangs, so they are also equipped with a sophisticated tools in order to open the doors, the gates of their target in business industry. So that's why, in order to counter also of that, so the companies are also equipped with a state-of-the-art equipment so that if there is something that use unsophisticated tools, it can be detected also by their counter monitoring systems, no? So in one more protective location and properly set with backup source of power. Kinala na ginaginatawag na tuog kanang automatic power switch on generator. So kung mag-blackout man or kung putnon man sa mga kawatan ang power line, so automatic mo switch na yung tong kuan. Para sa nang nasa kuan ba? Para sa nang ginatawag na to og computer lab or computer cabin sa kanang internet, no? Kanang ginatawag na tong tower. So naman na siya automatic nga generator. Pag mag-cut off, mag-fluctuate ang power lines, automatic siya nga mo-on dayon siya, no? Mga bisag ang mga dagkong mga eskwelahan ani para sa ato ang eskwelahan. Pag mag-blackout, automatic din mo kuan ang generator mag-set up. And then kinahanglan pag install po sa camera, kinahanglan wala siya ay blind spot. Actually manggod kasagaran manggod nga kawat na ginamakalin. Di ginamalikayan ang IG. Sa man ang IG, inside job. Kay ang security gid kabalo kung asa ang mga blind spot. no? Mao na gituyo nila na nga para sa tong blind spot, labi na kanang kusog manigarilyo, dito gina sila dito sa blind spot mag position na para manigarilyo, no? So dapat wala gid tayo dapat nga blind spot, dapat makita gid ang area. So area must be covered by the CCTV, no? Then tapos ang kuan pod is kanang highly zoom pod siya para makita dayon, no? A well-trained security personnel and well-screened guard force detailed in a 24 hours and equipped with a contingency arm system coupled with neutralizing or containing any threat against the protective facility until the arrival of the off-site assistance. So, off-site assistance, ito yung mga backup either law enforcement agencies, no? So, sa maning itong contingency arm system, mga nang makita na ito ang ubang industry, grabe silang mga firearms, no? Mga high-powered na. So, napo na sa mga little armory po kuno. Now, what are the classes of security? Physical security covers other types of security to protect equipment, documents, facilities, and materials against any form of damages, sabotage, or espionage. So, man akong gisulti ganina nga kinahanglan na katong unauthorized persons, dili siya pwede musulod dito. Even the authorized persons must be properly checked. No? Kay wapunta kabalog, basig kini po sila ang maghimog kadaot sa kumpanya. No, labi na ay kanang ginatawag na to og kakompetensya niya, ang kakompetensya kay gusto makabalo kung unsa mga tirada sa sulod. So pwede man nila bayaran ang security or kung hindi nila makayang security, ang personnel nga na-assign diya nga area kung asa tong mga ginatawag na to og restricted areas. Hotel security. So, ang trabaho sa hotel security, actually, ang hotel security, they have also what we call this company guard security, no? He is directly connected with the hotel and the company will are the one who give him a salary, no? So aside tong private wasman agency, okay? So hotel security refers to the protection of assets. So many, we're talking about the properties of the guests, no, the clients, or even the company itself, personal effects and other properties in hotels. Bank security, no? So they are specialized type of physical security protecting the assets, personnel, and operation of the bank with other properties like cash. Okay? Document security, protection of documents and classified papers. Now, actually, they're assigned on a certain restricted areas on where all the vital documents or informations or katong ginatawag na to formula, patent, or trade formulas on where it was keep safe. So, nagi ma-assign diya nga security. No? Personal security, safeguard personnel like ranking officials for any crimes such as kidnapping, hostage, and etc. So, mga maning gatang natuog, mga VIP security. So, ang tawag ani sa uban is mga bullet catcher. No? Kaya sila may unang pusilon. Okay, VIP security, this is part of VIP security involved hostage and kidnapping of VIPs. So, itong personal security, pwede ni mga private, no? Personal senador, magkuha na sila, no? Ato ni kini personal security, VIP security, mamaw ra gud ni sila gud. Kung tanawon nimo, unsa man kinsa man ang ilang gibantayan, kinsa man ang principal. Pag mingat ang principal katong tao nga nag-hire sa ila or katong tao nga ilang giskortan o giprotektahan. So mo na kita nitong principal, no? So kung tanawon nimo, security involved station kidnappings of VIPs. Kinsa man ni mga VIP, mga dignitaries na ni, no? Katong katong mga dagkong tae sa main office, no? Namadto sa ilang branches. So ang manager anang branch may mag-provide og VIP security sa ilang official. Okay? O basta puta to vice president ba sa ilang kumpanya, madto di sa Davao branch, no? Sila mag-provide. Industrial security, a type of security applied business group engaged in industry. Parehas ng industry man na, industrial company man na. It is a form of physical security in use of protective barriers and security and etc. So sa iyo pala makita na to mga barriers, no? Walls and fences, gates, guards, CCTV, ang kulang na lang K9. Operational security. Types of security that needed process to protect formula and patents. So take note, ang formula lahi sa patent. Ang formula mo ni siya katong mga unsaon pagbuhat sa usa ka produkto, like for instance ice cream, no? Ice cream con charcoal nya lami kay siya, hindi mo malasahan ang charcoal pero itom ang kulor. So mo na mga ang patent katuning rehistro sa formula nga dili pwedeng kopyahon sa uban kay ilani nga exclusive nga product. Any industry who produce with the same taste or formula, so katong isa ka industry pwede ito silang filean og kaso, no, in a violation of the secret patent and trade na may balaod ana sa mga negosyo. Communication security. So it is a very important, no, especially kay kasagar ganing ubang rabang mga gwardiya ginadula-dulaan ang kuan, ang communication, no, labi na kana sa mga bukid-bukid, no, ginagamit nila na sa paguyab-uyab, no, supposed to be dili nila usbon ang frequency kay para maka-intercept sila og kuan. So mo po na problema sa uban, no. So, you know, gentlemen and ladies, that communication is very important, not only in the police and military operation, but also on the security operations. It is very important because communication is a bloodline of the tactics and operations. Okay, it is the protection resulting from the application of various measures on unauthorized persons and gaining information through the communication system, no? So usahay man gud na mga tao nga mo open dito sa laptop, no? So or sa ledger or sa logbook, so dapat dili na siya abrihan sa mga unauthorized person kay may bawaan diha kung unsang oras nagasulod ang manager, unsang oras nagagawas. So aside from there, ginatawag na to physical surveillance. Okay? So what are those included in this communication security? So muna ni transmission security, sa man katong paglabay sa communications. So dapat dili na siya ma-intercept, no? A component communication that results from all measures. Okay? So what are the principles of physical security? A type of access depends on the number of variable factors that may achieve in a number of ways. There is no impenetrable barrier, no? Bisag unsa pa nakataas na imong gibuhat na, bisag unsa pa naka sophisticated ng imong barrier, as long as nga giplanuhan nagmaayo sa mga kawatan, masulod gina siya. Kaya asong gisultigan nila, gagamit po sila og sophisticated tools, no? For, to be used for the possible of their entry. Okay. Defense in depth means barrier after barrier, katong barrier to barrier. So nanatay perimeter defense, napatay one area fence barrier, no? Katong ginatawag nato ang one of the example of this katong ginatawag nato og clear zone, no? Delays provide surreptitious and non-surreptitious entry. So para to prevent lang ang legal o ang illegal entry. Each installation is unique and different. Yes, makasulti ko kanina. Na ubang nga kumpanya kay nagdanginot ang paliton nga mga equipments for security barriers or security deterrents is katong made in China, no? Dali ra maguba, blurred, dili kay klaro. So yan, no? So muna unique pud ang every installation. So what are the types of physical security barriers? We have natural barriers. Unsa man ni? Pag mga natural, dili ginama sa tao. Wala gibuhat sa tao. Okay? Unsa man na? Lakes, rivers, cliffs, canyon. Unsa man ning desert? Dili niya sa desert katong kuan na kanong patag gani kayo nga layo gani kay siya, no? Or bodies of water. Obstructions to interior such as high cliff, canyon, desert, or bodies of water. So, di sa desert katong init kayo. Man-made barriers, structural construction like fences, walls, floors, roofs, grills, katong kwan sa atong bintana, no? Bars, roadblocks. So, ang roadblocks nato dapat naatay katong para bitaw sa laing nasod nga pag naay makuan tunay mga spikes, no? Kanang automatic lang siya musaka tong mga barrier, no? Sa US mo na sa kasagaran. So, what are the specific classes of barriers? Natural barriers include mountains, cliff, canyons, marsh. Yun, unsa ning kabalo mo unsa ning marsh? Lawa ba dako kayong lawa, no? Basta na sa Ligwasan Marsh kana siya. Or sa Agusan Marsh. Deserts or terrain, it is difficult to traverse kana bitaw murag tungason kayo, no? Una ka kabot dito, hangakon pug ka. Structural barriers. What are those structural barriers? Are those features constructed by man regardless of their original intent that tend to delay the intruder? Mao ra ginay purpose of barrier, no? To delay the possible entry or gain of entry. So what are those examples of structural barriers? Walls, no? Coral, ceilings, no? Namang gina sa balay, doors and fences. But all of these are considered as weak type of physical security barrier. Human barrier includes guards, no? Kung ang iba pong guards is magsige lang po dula o kuan, mobile agent, or matulog po, no? Or magsigig basag news o magsigig cellphone. So patay po, no? Charges of quarters office and sharp workers. We stand between the intruder and the matter to be protected. Animal barriers such as shepherd dogs or German Shepherd or Belgian Malinois, trained for and used as guards. You know, gentlemen, the best animal barrier is no other than, but not the dog. So, what is the best animal barrier? The best animal barrier is no other than the goose, ang gansa. Nga naman, tiyaw kay ni matulog ning gansa, one eye, ang isa nagbahi, mata, ang isa nagpiyong. Kung maayo ang kondisyon sa lawa sa inyong gansa, so magtindog ni sa standing in one leg. Di gini siya muundang og sababay. Kining gansa, siya ro di ka kamata. No? Nya isa pa, minus kay ka og kunani, maintenance. Tahop ra man eh. Tahop ra ni siya. Nya di pagi ka mahadlok nga makapaak ni or makabayad kag para anti-rabies. Kay manglusi ra ni silang sungo. So take note, the best type of animal barrier is not the dog but the goose, no? So yan. Energy barrier are usually electrical and electronic devices. So examples are protective lighting and intrusion devices. So all energy barriers that will be considered as physical deterrence barriers, no? Kinahanglan pagbutang sa suga, kinahanglan ang glare light position niya or ang iyang glare radiation dapat atubang dito sa gawas para masulawan tong kuan katong kaniya para di kay niya makita kayo sa sulod kay sulaw kayo, okay? So yan, no? And then ang uban pod ang ilang fences kay butangan nila og kuryente kanang 125 volts, no? Kay di man kay na sa di man gina kapatay. Pero pwede kang kirig. Perimeter barrier, so coral gini siya. Wag ito laing sigutan ani kundi coral, no? Nya nadayoy signs and notices. Ginadili ang pagsulod diri sa lugar. Ang madakpan nga sumusulod, pusilon. No, pagdili may go pusilon ug usab. So mo nagyatog natog psychological deterrence barrier, no? So kita mo nang sa kuan sa department store nga dako kay salamin, nalingin. Yo kita iyo dito nga kita yung nang actually nanay ubang sekreto na bay nga nana sa gito nga hidden camera nga gamay no, nga taas kay ang spectrum or zoom. So gina-built in na siya no, naman ta sa modern technology. Wala naman tatong old school no, modern ko naman ta karon, modern practice naman ta. So perimeter barrier is a medium of structures which defines the physical limits of an installation of area to restrict or impede across thereto. Para saan ang kuralan nato, butang bagay na to, no trespassing. Trespassers will be persecuted or will be shoot. Survivors will be shoot again. No? Ano ba? Types of perimeter barrier. Fences. Ano sa maning fences? Either concrete, barb type, full view fence, or half view fence. Kanang sa prisuhan, makita na to na siya is full view fence na siya, pero concrete ang iyahang gikuanan sa concertina wire or barbed wire, no? Or kanang gitawag na to semi-concrete, okay? So fences are independent structures designed to control physical and visual access between outside areas. Na mana ba pag residential dili gud pwede nga full fence ang imuhang gamiton. Dapat half lang siya. Half concrete, then tapos full view na ang sa taas kanang cyclone wire na. Ano man, dili ang purpose ana is para makita nimo ang taong sa gawas. Kung makamonitor ka unsay nahitabo sa gawas. Ang disadvantage lang ana, no, ang disadvantage kung ang imuhang solid fence or concrete fence is tagahawak nya ang kuana is katunang full view o katong wire fences na, so dili po na siya advisable. Dapat dili siya makita kanang dapat kung sa balay ka sa taas nimo makita nimong sa gawas. So katong nasa ubos nga murag di kanya makita ang sulod mo na ang very purpose po dana. Pero kung nakay silingan basta nang subdivision no, dikit-dikit magina siya. So equal lang na sa gamay lang ang imong solid fence. Ang purpose na to na is makita nato ang atong silingan, makita po ta sa atong silingan para in a case to case scenario na may tabo sa to, may tabo sa ilaha, makatabang ta sa ilaha, no, maka-assist ta sa ilang panginahanglanon in times of emergency. So mao gina ang advisable. Pero sa atong kural, kinahanglan taas-taas gid ang kuan na, tapos ang dawag gingayt ana is 8 feet gid siya, no, 8 feet. Apil na ang kuan na top guard. So solid fence na uban kayo no, ang kural kung sa kataas ang atop mapud kataas ang kural. So meaning mura na nag-warehouse ang imong balay. Ano man, di ka kakita sa gawas, di po ka makita sa gawas. So mo na, di ka kabalo kung unsa tong nasa gawas. Basi na din nagplano na dito, no? So kat-kat lang og poste, aron inom tao-tao og kanang power line or kanang internet wire system. So wa ka kabalo kay di makakabalo unsay nakabo sa gawas. No, lupi pa man nimo nag-alaga og kuan, agilang mahadlok ka makagawas. So dapat kana mga solid fence kana mga tag-as kayo, so lang na siya sa mga industrial, no? Pero residential adi na siya pwede. Okay. Solid fence is made of opaque materials such as that visual access to the fence structure is denied. So dili na makita, no? Kay siyempre semento man na. Solid fence are constructed with heavy materials such as bricks, stones, and concrete. Pero sa uban, ang ginagamit naman nato is cyclone wire, no? Nganang patungan lang gamay galo block, and then ang ubang gani kawayan lang. So the main purpose of that is, although that is considered weak physical barriers, but our intention is to delay the intrusions, no? Kay nagtumang kita that there is no impenetrable barrier. Bisag unsa pa nakatibay na magibuhat, ang kawatan mangawat gina siya. Labi na ka ng mga akyat bahay gang sa atop mga gi, no? Mga Spider-Man. Full view fences, no? Sa Davao City Jail makita nato dito kung sa tong nasa sulod, no? Okay, pero na sila restricted area nga dili na to makita taas kay ilang gates, then katong sa Pikas pug katong sa, pero katong dito sa likod, no? Sa mga residential area taas na gito, that is solid fence. No, I think that is mga 11 feet ata o labot pa ang ilang top barriers, no? All view fences is constructed as a manner that visual access is permitted, such as wire fences to the fence structure, no? Chain link. So, sa chain link, katuning, kanabitang barbed wire nga murag ilingi-lingi gi kang tuyok, no? Spiral. So kasagad ginabutang ni siya as one of the additional barrier sa top guard, no? Chain link must be constructed of 7 feet material including top guard. So 1 foot ang imuhang 1 foot 7 feet kataas ang kuan, 7 feet kataas ang imong coral. Then ang imuhang top guard is plus another 1 foot, that's equivalent to 8 feet. Okay, 7 feet plus 1 foot ang imuhang top guard, so 8 feet kanans. Then the chain link must be of 9 gauge or heavier. So we are talking about the barbed wire. And the mesh opening are not to be larger than 2 inches. So sabi ng opening katong mata-mata ba? Kung bukad ganyan 2 inches, no? Per side. Okay? Wire fence is a type of fence made of chain link, barbed wire, concertina design. Para malaman natin ang concertina design, it is a special design of a barbed wire. Hait kay ni siya ba, no? Stainless ni siya. No, bisag asa ka ni may go, mura ni siya ka ng latag ay giplat, no? So you try to search the image concertina if you have enough time, no? Tanawon niyo ang concertina. So dili ni siya basta-basta dahil mapalit kay odiron pa man ni siya. Para sa konstruya nga this is an especially designed. Common ni siya ginagamit sa no, sa military camp or correctional institutions or sa jail. Okay? With a small amount of opening not larger than 2 square inches. So katuning pagtaod, no, from barbed wire to barbed wire, no, ang distansya niya is 2 inches. Anong 2 inches man? Para ang uban man tamakan man nila na. So para pagtamak nila, so masangit ilang sapatos sa isa ka barbed wire nga naa sa upper top, no, upper portions. So that's why ang advisable is 2 inches o 2 square inches and made of number 9 goose, no, katuning baga, no, of fewer twisted and barbed salvage at top and bottom. No, kinahanglan ligong gini siya hugot. Dili siya yun. No, kay usay tamakan man niya, tamakan unsa ni kanang duton-duton, so mayat-yat siya. Concertina fences, so ang coral niya is as more ang concertina, di kita kasulod ani, no, kay masama jud ka ni. Are formed like accordions that open concertina wires is 50 feet long and 3 feet in diameter, no? So ang yang po na yang distansya, no? Building walls, enclosed walls, floors, roofs, or other combinations serve as barriers, and they should be of such construction to provide uniform protection just like wire fencing. So kinanglan standard ang imong ginagamit ani kay in times of emergency, no? Basi matumpag po din siya. Bodies of water, no? Doning like rivers, lake, katarak, dili ka sakit sa mata yung katarak, mura ni siya ka ng sapa-sapa, no? Sea, pond, or any bodies of water forming part of the wall, building, or fencing should not be considered as adequate perimeter barrier. Okay, classes of physical defense. So we have 3 types of physical defense. First is we have first line of defense. So sa example sa first line of defense, perimeter fences, no, mga coral, or katong mga bodies of waters. Second lines of defense, doors, windows, wool roofs, and grills, no. Third line of defense, storage systems such as steel or non-steel cabinets, safe bolts, and interior parts. Pag third line of defense is sa sulod sa balay. Okay? Pag second line of defense, katong atong pultahan, bintana, coral, atop, ug kanang ato ang grill sa ato ang bintana. Pag first line of defense, perimeter fences or barrier. So asa nabutang diri ang animal? So ang animal, mahulog na siya sa second line of defense. Pati ang gwardiya. Okay? So ang gwardiya, mahulog sa second line of defense. Ang iro or animal, considered sa second line of defense. Kaya naman sila sa sulod sa kural. Okay. Perimeter barrier opening. So we have gates and doors. Usually used and controlled by guards, gates and doors in the perimeter, and should be locked and frequently inspected by guards, and the lock should be changed from time to time and covered under protective lights and key control. So unsay but pasabot aning the lock should be changed from time to time? Yes, it is not advisable that the said lock used today will be used on the next month. So dapat every quarterly usab ang kandado, no? Alisdan ang kandado nganuman wala man ta kabalo sa ato ang gwardiya. Kay basig himuan na nila nag master duplicate o replicate nila ang susi, no? So wa ta kabalo. So mo na nga sa mga dagkong kumpanya, the locks, the padlocks used must be changed quarterly. No? Wala man po taningon nga ilabay na itong kandado, kundi taguon to siya so that at the time will come nga mabuta po ng quarter, pwede na po siya ibalik. And another, the most advisable is pag mga dagkong kumpanya, their security assign must be replaced every 6 months. So every 6 months gina siya. Kung daghan sila gwardiya, kinanglan i-maintain gid ang natawag nato og shifting method. Then after that, pag maabot na gani 1 year ang mga gwardiya, so kinahanglan mag-conduct na gid og loyalty check, no, para ang katong tarong nga gwardiya mabilin alisdan og bag-o, no? Kay namang may tabo da nga mahimo nang kurap ang gwardiya. What I mean is mahimo silang kurap. Unang-una, pwede na silang mabayaran. Basta nang time in, time out sa gwardiya, sa tao, pwede na nilang unsaon matik-matikon, no? So dili gyud advisable nga ang gwardiya magdugay dapat every 6 months alisdan gina siya. Okay? Then sidewalk elevator. Unsa ni sidewalk elevator? Dili elevator sa sidewalk. Kita mo nang ubang bangko kanang naay ATM machine na gani siya taas niya, ginalam ka mo musaka didto, tapos nasa barrier. So mo na siya ang sidewalk elevator barrier. Basta nang sa land bank, di ba, musaka ka. Nandiya kasi may klaberya, sirado naman na. Ubang bangko na, I think, BPI, no? O sa BPI, then pagsaka ni musaka ka pa dito, mga tulok ang siguro na siya, then tapos na ay barrier sa taas. Mana siyang sidewalk elevator barrier. Dili ni siya elevator nga kanang musaka ka adto ka sa taas, dili. It provide access to areas within the perimeter barrier and should be locked and guarded. Okay? So utilities opening. A utility opening which penetrate the barrier in which have cross-sectional areas and must be protected with bars, grills, water filters, or other structure like sewers and earth intakes. So actually, wala man tani no, sa US na niya kana bitang mga sewers kanang ginagian sa ilalom. Kita mo ng mga palabas sa TV nga naay mosulod sa manhole, yung magawas na sa pikas. So yan, no? Actually, wala man tana. Makikita ko itong utilities opening. Kanang pang-maintenance, pag maglimpyo ka ng mga manhole, no? Kanang sewerage or sewers, wala tana. No? Wala ta dito sa Pilipinas. Dito na sa Amerika, sa Japan. No? Clear zone. Now, unsa man ning clear zone? Kita mo nga ng warehouses. Gigikan sa warehouse, di ba, dako ka na ilang hawanan? That is highly standard. That is 50 feet. No? 50 feet na ang ilang clear zone sa sulod. Then, pag humana na napoy wallings. So, gikan sa wall, na napoy another clear zone nga 20. Okay? Na napoy clear zone nga 20. Na in which, dili pwede na siya panan og mga sakyanan, parkingan. So, what is the purpose? Para makita ang mga tao nga musulod diha. At the same time, dapat na ginasa CCTV. Kung nakita nyo ng SNR, kanang ilang, wala na sila pakialam sa security. Supposed to be, kanang ilang gimong parking area diha, dapat clear zone na siya. kung makita ninyo mutuyok mo diya sa isina kung namoy sakyanan, kabalo ba mo unsa ang nadiya sa likod? Ha? Mga vital installation nila. Unsa ang nadiha? Katong ilahang si tawag ana ay kanang nadiya tong ilang mga freezer gito katong mga kwan sa mga kuasa ginakwentong ilang mga perishable products. Ya napagid sa kilid tong mga atong LPG tanks, no? So gabi ka kwan kayo expose kayo. Pero wagi pakialam ang manager diya sa SNR. Supposed to be kanang clear zone diha maghimo na sila og 20 feet, then after 20 feet diya pa sila magpakuan og parking area. So ambot og unsay gibuhat sa manager, no? So yan walay pakialam ng SNR. Unyag butangan nagbumba dia di bungkag na tanang sakyanan dia pati ng mga tao, no? Ya, ang ilarabang gwardiya dia kay ambot lang po sa ilang gwardiya dia. Now, clear zone, an obstructed area or a clear zone must be maintained on both sides of the perimeter barrier. So take note, pag mga warehouses, industrial houses, that must be 50 feet gina siya. Nakita niyo ng mga hotel? Nakita niyo yung hotel, di ba, na asli, murag ka ng bakante nga area, gikan sa ilang hotel niya, tapos sawan. You try to observe the Marco Polo. Ang Marco Polo, una ka makabot, kailangan mo baktas pakagkuan, mga 20 feet. No? At the same time, napagit sila gatawag na ito og additional extra barrier. Kanang gatawag na ito, kanang gibutang gaya nilang mga landscape. No? That is additional extra barrier. Mali gatawag ito barrier to barrier. So, yan. Ang Manday Hotel, so, I don't know kung 20 feet ba na siya, pero nasa gatawag na ito barrier to barrier, kanang ilang landscape sa gawas. Okay? So, yan naman po yung gwardiya noon, permanente. Pero mas kuyaw ang kuan, Marco Polo Hotel, kay sa gawas pa lang dahil na gwardiya, una ka kasulod, babara ka na sa gwardiya. Una pag kakabot sa pultan, 20 feet tayo mong baktason. Okay, mo na clear zone. Sa Coca-Cola, kung nakita ninyo, no, ang katong mga sakyanan, marag layo-layo gamay dito silang battling area nga side. No? So, 20 feet na sa standard po na siya. The clear zone, an obstructed area, and clear zone must be maintained on both sides of the perimeter barrier. Clear zone must be of 20 feet or more, which is desirable between the barriers and exteriors, structures and natural covers that may provide concealment for assistance to a person seeking an authorized entry. Okay? So, katuning ito, barrier to barrier, katong exterior structure. So, what are the specifications of clear zone? Clear zone of 20 feet or more should exist between the perimeter. Itong giingon ako sa inyo, atong sa gawas, additional na po siya nga kuan, no? 20 feet. And exterior structures such as parking areas and natural or man-made features. So after that is parking area na. Clear zone of 50 feet or more should exist between the perimeter barrier and structure within the protected areas except when a building wall constitutes part of the perimeter barrier. Now, ang sa SM, kanang sa likod niya, di ba, sa parking area? So, gikan na ng parking area, no, katong ilang kuan diha, sidewalk, kuan nila, grills, or katong perimeter, kung imong grills ang kuan is 20 feet na una kakabot dito sa superstore, no, 20 feet na siya. Standard na siya. What are the other types of protective barrier? Top guard. Ang top guard, katun isang kuan, no? Fence wall, diba? Tapos na barbed wire. So, kanang dilampas diha, kanang nag-overlap, mo nagitawag na itong top guard. Kanang gikuan na sa barbed wire. Top guard ang tawag ana. Lahat po itong kuan, tower guard. Kay it is a house-like structure mo na, kanang tower guard. Lahat po itong fixed post guard house. No? Katong naarato siya sa gate. Kay top guard is an overhang, katong barbed wire, no? Katong gisumpay na sa pader. It is an additional overhang of barbed wire placed on a vertical perimeter fences, upward and outward with a 5-degree angle, with 3 to 4 strands of wires, space of 6 inches apart. So katuning pagbutang, no? Katong iyang paglinya ba? Yung strands niya. Okay? So 6 inches ang diferensya matag barbed wire. Then ang iyang angle is 5 degree, then 4 strands. So katong upat kubok kay nga gitwisted nga wire nya tapos hait dayon so mo to gitawag na to strands. So top guard balikan nato mo ni siya katong additional perimeter fence sa ato ang solid fence, no, katong mga barbed wire or concertina. Guard control provided main perimeter to secure areas located out of doors and manned by guards. So guardian ni siya, pwede po siya magbutag payag-payag dito, mo na ito yung na to og fixed post guard house. Tower or guard towers, no, katunan ning dito sa kung asa musaka ang guardia niya, magdala og flashlight or searchlight. Okay? So kasagaran ni siya sa kampo, sa industrial buildings like mga warehouses, and then sa commercial institutions, no, sa mga prisuan. Our house-like structure gives psychological effect to violations. Pero kung ang imong balay-balay gibutang nimo dito sa punuan nga dako, dili na sa tower guard kundi tree house na na. Size inetosis or control size, mo katong psychological deterrence. Like for instance, kanabitang sa dipo di sa nana sila psychological deterrence na gibutang. Ang ilang gibutang dito English, Tagalog, Bisaya o kanang sama tribe nga dialect, no? Ang gibutang dito bawal ang mangisda aning dapita. Hinadili ang pagpangisda aning dapita. So ang tanang mangingisda dili mosulod diri. Kini usa ka pribado o kuan ani-ani nga lugar, no? So ang musupak, ang madakpan pusilon. So nana didto. Kaya sa mga dipo na siya. Management of unauthorized ingress. Minsan ning ingress, entry, and preclude accidental entry. So kanagingon nga wala gituyo pero natuyo. Control signs should be erected where it is necessary in the management, no? Prago na nang sa atong bakanting luna na igibutang dito nga signs and notices. No trespassing, private property trespassers will be blah blah blah. Ana na siya, no? Sample. Protection and dip, okay, katunan sa pagkuha na to sa poste, no? In large open areas or around where fencing or walling is impractical and expensive, warning signs should be conspicuously placed. The dip itself in protection, reduction of access, roads, and sufficient notices to warn intruders should be done, no? So kung dako kayo, dako kay gasto, so barbed wire na lang, din tapos butangan og sign and notices, mora. Security lightning. So we are talking about the types of psychological deterrence on physical security, no? Klase-klase sa mga suga nga gamiton para sa industrial plants for the purpose of psychological deterrence. Ang pinisuga psychological deterrence ra ni siya. Protective lighting provides a means of continuing illuminations during hours of darkness. A degree of protection is that is maintained during daylight hours. Lightning is considered a psychological deterrence. Now, by the way, before I forgot, kanang mag-install po ganitang CCTV, dapat katong area nga gikuanan og CCTV, dapat nato sa suga. Kay guwa na sa suga, usay man gud ang infrared sa CCTV, dili kay sa makapenetrate og total darkness. Labi nagdili kay siya kanabitang high frequency nga CCTV. So ngit-ngit gyapon, so dili makita, no? So I have an experience on that, no? Katong kung kalo nga akong helmet nga gikawat, no? So ngit-ngit man gud nakita ang kahayag sa suga, pero dili makita ang tao ug ang kay ngano man ngit-ngit man. No, kay ang suga naraman sa kilid. So wala ang gimanggid dito mismo sa parking area sa UM. Okay. Stationary luminary. Most common type consisting of services fixed of luminous to flood a given area continuous with overlap. Unsa man ni? Asa natin ni makita kana sa mga bridges gani? Kana mga dagkong suga diha mo na stationary luminary lights, no? Nana sa mga baybay ginataod, no? O sa mga dike banda. Blurred projection type, no? Kato ni siyang sulaw kay nga suga. No, hayag kayo kasagaran ni ginagamit mga searchlight na siya or mga IED or katong IED, LED, no, light emitting diode nga sugat. This intensity is focused to the intruders. Wala gusto nga kung magkwantang suga, dapat ang kahayag dito tanan sa gawas para dili kayo maka kita o gayo kundi blurred ang kuan, no, nasa poor visibility inside. So kinahanglan mo gina siya. While the observer guard remains in the comparative of darkness, no? Controlled lighting, the width of the light at top can be controlled and adjust to suit the security needs. So unsa man ni siya? Mao ni siya katong sa mga tower guard, ginabutang or katong fixed post controlled lightning para sa anang sa basketbulan kana, no? Sa mga poste. Standby lightning, kasagaran makita na ni kasagaran niya for the purpose of blackout, no? Ito mga emergency lighting siya. Similar to continuous lighting but in tune or manually or by special device or other automatic mean where there is a suspicion of entry. So, yan. Pag naay mo sila, unay kasikas, pwede ni siyang kasigawan daw o automatic siyang musiga. Movable lightning, right? Mga emergency lightning, apil di ang flashlight, movable lightning na siya. Or emergency flashlight, yan, mga movable lightning na siya. Consists of a stationary or portable, manually operated searchlight, which may be lighted continuously during hours of darkness or only as needed. Katong battery nga, battery operated na suga or katong chargeable na suga, mga emergency light, no? Apil din itong mga dagko kayo nga flashlight. Okay? Emergency lightning, as I said, katong sa standby lighting, pare-parehas rin siya. No? Kinahanglan nga itong pag-emergency lighting, pag mag-blackout, automatic rapod siyang musiga. And standby lighting, which is can be used in the event of electrical failure, either during to local equipment or commercial power failure. So, yan. What are the classes of security lighting? Incandescent light, unsa man ni, ang uban ani wa nakaabot, nang uban ani nakaabot pa hantod karon. Mao ni katong gitawag nato katong bumbilya nga yelo ang iyang siga. No, katong ginabutang nato sa incubator or sa piso. Have low initial cost and provide gloss color indentions, no, sampo ani bumbilya. Mercury vapor lamps, nani siya sa mga bukid-bukid, mo ni siya suga sa poste. Okay? Pero karon ang uban high-tech na, no, LED na. So, lead lights na ang ginabutang nila sa poste. Emit a purplish white color caused by an electrical current passing through a tube of conducting luminous gas, no? So, sa basketbulan, yan, mercury vapor na siya. Kanang sa itong mga poste karon di sa Davao City, kuha na siya, sodium light. No? Sodium light na siya. Metal halides, susulaw kayo ni siya, no? Is similar in physical appearance to microwave but provides a light source of higher luminous efficiency and better color indentions. Kanang ginagamit sa Davao Light, kanang mag-ayos lang kuryente, no? Kanang dagko kay murag searchlight, so metal halide ang sugaan na. Okay, fluorescent lamp, no? O katong karaan nga mga suga, katong tube. So karon halos mga dagkong kumpanya wala na kay nagagamit og fluorescent lamp, ginagamit nila karon kay lead fluorescent tube, no? So mahal kayo. So ang fluorescent lamp murag nagay nagkawala, okay? So yan kay gasto mo kay ning fluorescent lamp kay kinahanglan napakay balas, no? Pero ang LED tube lamp kuha na lang. Wala na siya balas, no? Dugay pagid kay ang iyang lifespan, no? Unlike sa fluorescent lamp, pag mag-itom, wala na, punded na yun. Pero ang LED, dugay taas yung lifespan mo. Abot pa siya mga 3 years, 5 years, depende sa quality nga gipalit nga LED tube lamp. So fluorescent lamps provide good color indentation, so white magid ang siga ni. However, it cannot project light over long distance. Yes, okay. Wasa na sa gibutang, gamay ra po ang iyang masakop nga hayag. And it's not desirable as flood type lights. Okay? So makaingon mo ng flood type lights nga mong ginasulti, sir. Nakakita na mo ani. No? Nakakita na mo pati tong glare lights, no? or flood type lights, wala lang mo kailang flood type siya. Kanang nasa commercial building, kanang sa kuan, commercial, kanang sa advertising kuan gani, kanang ginadi sa bangkiruhan. So man yung mga flood type lights, no? Or flood glare type lights. Mana siya. Mana itaw na to og flood type. Kanang ito photo flood, kanang photo flood, mo nang itaw niya sa photo flood, gamay na siya nga glare lights or flood type lights nga naay payong. So makita po nato na siya dito po na siya sa photo gallery, no? Na kanang hayag kay nga suga mo nang itaw og photo flood type lamp. High pressure sodium vapor mo na karon sa ato ang poste. Now the high sodium vapor, it was introduced in 1956 for exterior lighting of parking areas, roadways, buildings, industrial and commercial installations. So dugay na kayo siya sa laing nasod. Sa tua, nagsugod ni siya mga late 2000, no? Flood lights, so itong sulti na ko ganina, tumaring nga itong flood type lights. So makita niyo na siya sa mga sea parks, no? Kanang mga sa mga B-side. Kanang hayag kayo nga suga, labi na kanang sa commercial building, kanang sa commercial kuan gani. Kanang makita to sa bangkiruhan na nagapahayag ng mga produkto diha. So mana siya ang floodlights. Okay, so nakakita na mo, wala mo kaila. So our use of outdoor security lighting, including the elimination of boundaries, fences, and buildings. So sa UM, makakita ka ni dito sa Jurassic Park. Kung may mga suga dito, floodlights to siya. So LED type na to siya. Street lights produce diffuse light rather than directional beam. So kung asa lang siya gibutang, dito po sa ubos ang iyang siga. Searchlight, ginanani siya sa mga sakyanan. No? Searchlight, air conditioned light that provides a type of crime-related lighting systems. No? Ginagamit sa kampo o sa prisuhan. Industrial fire security and security alarm system. Fire alarm are those devices installed to help detect fires or detect anything that causes fires such as smoke or unusual rising of temperature. Katulad ng mga heat detector, smoke detector, so on and so forth. Tanang detector. Automatic sprinkling system. No? Pag naayaso, agas dahil ang tubig ani siya sa UN, sa BE building, makita na to. An integrated network of hydraulical design piping installed in a building without this arranged systematic pattern which automatically discharge water when activated by heat. No, pag makakuha ni siya kaso, agas na yung tubig ani, kasagaran siya sa mga laboratory. No? And then dito sa parking area sa SM, sa NCCC, naani siya. So makita nato ni siya. O bisan pa sa SM, no? Kanang tanawin mo na ilang sili, makita mo lang automatic sprinkling fire system nila. So, which is advisable na ni siya pag dagko na nga industrial. Kung ang possible clients is 50 or more, dapat automatic fire alarm system nang gamiton. Dili na manual. That is under the NFPE law. Fire pumps. Okay, so automatic na gini siya sa mga dagko po nga kuan, no? Sa UM na punta ni. Our mechanical device of supplying water which can be manual or motor driving. Kanang ato automatic na siya, no? Kuryente nang nagdala na siya or generator. Standpipe, unsa man standpipe katuning emergency fire water system, no? Kanang mga naay mga fire hoses. So our galvanized iron steel or plastic pipe located inside building from the lowest to the top floor and with water under pressure for use in case of fire, no? Katong nasa umusaka ka dito sa tuang building sa CG sa kilid ana na datong standpipe. Card operated locks are electrically or more usually magnetic coded card notes embossed or containing an embedded pattern or copper locks are used to operate such locks. So kasagaran niya sa mga hotel, no? Now let's go to the security key control. It is the management of keys in plant or business organization to prevent unauthorized individual access the key. So key cabinet is a well-constructed cabinet will have to be produced. The cabinet will have to be sufficient size to hold the original key to every lock in the system. So gina-practice yun siya sa tanang industry. So makita natin niya sa guardhouse, no? No, dito nito ng mga susi sa tanang rooms sa UM. So pag mag-withdraw, mag-inspect, dito, withdraw ka dito, logbook. Key records, so man itong logbook, no? Some administrative means must be set up to record a code numbers of the locks and to whom the case of a specific locks was issued. Inventories periodic account must be made of all duplicates and original keys in the hands of the employees whom they had been issued. So let you say, opisina sa Dean's Office. So na may susi ang AA ana or ang administrative assistant. So dapat ibalik niya na kung man ang officer, ihuli niya na dito sa security guard, no? Tapos musulat pa niya nga keys and padlocks are returned. Audits in addition to periodic inventories are unannounced. Yes, dapat dili announce nga mag-audit og mga susi. Should be made of all the key control records and procedures by a member of the management. So importante ginang inventory, monitoring sa susi. Kasi ang daga na kayo nag-duplicate, no? Daily reports, a regular report must be made to the person responsible for the key. Yes, matik na siya, part na siya. Pagkabot sa reliever, ihapon ng susi, then tapos kinsa ang mga naguram sa susi, then ibutang na dito, nakalagbog po na. No? All cases are accounted for and identified personally by the reliever. No? The reliever received personally the keys turned over by the blah blah blah. Ana na siya. Dapat nakalagbok na siya. What are the classes of security keys? Change key is a specific key which opens the lock and has particular combination of out or buttons, which must the tumblers or the tumblers in the lock. We have submaster key. Is a key that could open all the locks within a particular area or grouping a particular facility. Yes, na nag-practice ano, let's pera ng door 1, door 2, door 3, silang kasusi ang ginagamit. Pag abo sa door 5, door 5, door 5, door 67, lahat na po nga susi. Lahat po ng susi sa ubos. Pero isa lang kasusi ang iabri sa tulo ka kandado. Master key is an special key that is capable of opening a series of locks. No, nasa mga dagkong kumpanya po niya. Kung naay grandmaster sa Tagay, naapoy grandmaster sa Karate, naapoy grandmaster ang susi. Is a type of key that will open everything in a system involving 2 or more master key groups. So, kung ano yung master key, pag master key na anang padlock, abre. Protective security containers. So, part niya sa third line of defense. Safe. It is a metallic container used for the safekeeping of documents or small items in an office or installation. Vault is a heavily constructed fire burglar resistance container, usually a part of the building structure used to keep and protect cash, document, and negotiable instrument. No? Fire protective proof na siya, fireproof. File room, it is a cubicle, a building constructed a little lighter than a vault, but bigger size to accommodate limited people to work on the records inside.